Off mute. Think I'm doing it right. Good morning, chat. It says we're working. Hello, Alex, Mike, Lim, Kyle, Daniel, Render OG. What's up, buddies? Let's get going. All right, it looks like we're up. Stream says it's live. So I want to start off. We're going to be talking about a lot today, like usual. We're going to be very focused, though, on Bitcoin. We're going to be focused on Tesla. There's a bunch of news events, and then just things I want to reassure people about. We will talk about broader markets. We have a few data points coming in for the economic calendar. I actually don't think, I mean, the real data comes on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, a lot of the times. But I don't even know if that matters. I think that the most important thing comes on the 18th. I think that's what everybody's waiting for. I was listening to Tom Lee from Fundstrat talking again on his FS Insight video today, or actually it was last night. And he was saying the same thing, and I agree with it. I think that we really want to get past, is the Fed going to lower rates again? And then also, more importantly, is Japan going to raise rates? And is there a Japanese yen carry trade unwinding that we have to worry about? So I think once we get past the 18th, it sky's the limit, and we're going up a lot. But I think that's probably one of the big things holding us back. But I digress. I don't want to go too deep down the rabbit hole. I just wanted to mention that I think markets could be in for some chop. We could even have another scam wick down in Bitcoin. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But what I want to do is I want to get people to readjust. Mug of the day, happy mug. Today's a happy mug day. I want to get people to readjust their thought process a little bit. I want you guys to, instead of thinking about like, oh, is the price going to drop tomorrow? I want you to think about all the things that are sitting in front of us that are going to launch the price in the not too distant future. I want you to think out further. I want you to lengthen your time horizon. And I might sound like a little bit of a hypocrite with that because, again, I'm in things like MSTX and MSTU, leverage plays, brutal and sideways chop. So we definitely don't want it to go sideways for too long. But outside of that, you should be looking. This is a strategic bet for me, and I think I'm going to be good on timing. Sometimes I'm not, but I think I'm going to be. But outside of that, you need to think long term. That's the really important thing, okay? You need to think long term. You need to be diversified. Again, I've got like 5 different miners. I've got ETFs. I've got physical Bitcoin. I've got shit coins. And I've got this MicroStrategy play of mine. So, and I've got physical, I should say physical, but MicroStrategy stock, and then I've got these levered plays too, and then I might even have IBIT options in the not too distant future. So I'm playing this from a multitude of different ways, okay? Some of it's short term, some of it's a lot longer. But when you think about Bitcoin, think long. There's a number of videos, things that we're going to talk about, but I just wanted to throw this out there. Put or statements between each of these. If Microsoft votes yes, Bitcoin's going to the moon. If Amazon votes yes, Bitcoin's going to the moon. If the USAA creates a Bitcoin strategic reserve, I was just listening to Donald Trump Jr. Talking about the latest Bitcoin conference, I think at the United Arab Emirates, seemed pretty bullish to me. Seemed like strategic reserve kind of stuff. Russia is talking about doing a strategic reserve. If that happens, we're going to the moon. If one of the 10 states that are talking about doing a strategic reserve does it, we're going to the moon. And it sounds like Florida's trying to get that done before the president takes office. If the current administration is friendly to crypto, do they seem friendly to crypto? We're taking off. If global liquidity continues to expand from ever-growing debt loads, we're taking off. Somebody also threw a comment on here. They're like, if rates continue to drop like they're going to do on the 18th of December with another 25 bip cut, then we're taking off. If MicroStrategy gets included in the NASDAQ or the QQQ, we're taking off. If we see either ETFs, MSTR, and the ever-growing list of companies continue to buy Bitcoin, we're taking off. Basically, we're taking off is the thing I'm trying to get across to you. There's a couple of videos I might even play a little bit of, but we're taking off. Might not be doing it this second. The price action in the bottom right looks like we're trying to find stability. You could see where we have that descending triangle in the bottom right of the screen right over here. God, it's hard to go backwards. You can see where there's the descending triangle, and it's trying to turn that into a level of support. Will it be able to do it? I think so. Maybe not. Maybe it wicks down to the 50 moving average. This is Bitcoin during a bull market. The more violent it goes down, the better the buy, and the more violently it will go up and then continue on. I hope you realize this. One of the videos that we're going to be looking at, it talks It's from Jeff Park, one of the most brilliant people, I think, in derivatives and in markets. He's worked at like Morgan Stanley, a bunch of places. It's a really great video. I think I have it somewhere in here, Jeff Park. I don't know. I've got so many things that I posted in here. It's in here, and I'll find it. But one of the things he loves to talk about is that Bitcoin is one of the only assets on Earth where, as the price goes up, the volatility doesn't dampen. So the volatility doesn't like slow down because it went up. Bitcoin just finds a new base. And why can it do that? Because it's not gold. It's not like you're going to produce more of it, which then will drive the price down. Or that needs to be manipulated by markets because they use them as a reserve and they use them to be able to as a strategic reserve for for a lot of countries out there. You want to control some of the price movements. We did that. I mean, we set up the infrastructure to try and do that. The gold ETF actually shot up to the moon back in the 80s and 90s. Did really, really well. But we put in tools, not too long after we got off the gold standard to try and control the price of these things going forward. And banks have definitely probably manipulated, or I should say, oil the most. The oil markets definitely, out of everything, there's talk about companies like suppressing the price of gold for years, but also oil is definitely suppressed because that's actually a commodity that people need. And so the oil markets are ones where the price is controlled all the time. We want it to go down, right? Like especially now, we want it to go down. And so there's no incentive like that for Bitcoin. The incentive is the exact opposite. When you look at the derivatives, when you look at options contracts going out over time, there's tons of volume all throughout them, and the driving mechanism is up and to the right. And there's nothing like the company has become too valued, like you'd have with an equity, to pull the price down. That's not a thing. You don't have that, right? And so it's not like, hey, we weighed Bitcoin and we actually found out it's just this value. It's not that way. It doesn't work that way. The mechanics are different than anything that's ever existed before. And I hope a little bit today, I'll be able to talk to that and get you guys to understand that. But just realize that Bitcoin establishes new bases as it goes higher. It's the only asset on Earth that is programmed the way that it is to not have to worry about, the company or the oil price getting too high. These kind of things don't exist in this world. You don't value them the way that you value these things. And so again, it can just keep going up as long as we print a lot of money. I hope I articulate that well enough for you guys to understand. Let me see here. Let's read a few comments. Mike says, we all know how volatile BTC is, so I will stomach side chop with MSTU and MSTX in the short term. That's better than missing out, as I'm trying to time it perfectly. Yeah, and again, I hope it turns out good for everybody that's along with this ride. Again, if we chop sideways for a long period of time, these plays are going to suck. But there will be a face-ripping rally at some point, and so you'll be able to make up for it. I think worst-case scenario, you end up performing the same as MSTR. And that's like absolute worst-case scenario if it takes months. So I think it's going to do a lot better than that. Jason says, I'm wearing my micro to macro tee. It's cozy. Awesome. I'm glad to hear it. I hear they're really comfortable. I've got the hoodie. I don't know if I have the t-shirt yet. My wife might have bought that. My nephew has stolen a bunch of my merch too. But I love the hoodie a lot. Ariel, CPI tomorrow, FOMC on the 18th. Then we rip until end of year. Really good point. CPI, again, kind of like weekly we get this data, but yeah, the FOMC on the 18th, I think, is the really big thing. That's the big thing that we're holding off for, trying to figure out if they're going to cut rates and also trying to make sure that Japan isn't falling apart if they're raising rates around the same time. So I believe, like I've said for a long time, like I said when the Japanese yen carry trade was unwinding a while back over the summer, that the government in Japan are working very closely to ensure that there's no systemic issues with it. They don't want that. And they've certainly talked about it, right? So we just need to get past the 18th. I think that's the big thing. Maytag, 324 watching and only 44. You guys are great. You guys are just on it. Just get on them. I appreciate that, Maytag. Alex Garcia, highest risk right now is not being invested. That's my view. I would not want to be on the sidelines right now while we're establishing that new base. Jeff Park talks about this in one of his videos too. I would love to play. Nope, not that one. Not with the Bitcoin coming out of the guy's shorts. This one, there's a couple of different videos. He did one with Blockwork Macro too. But this is Jeff Park. He's brilliant. He's on X. I think the True North group, I don't know if they're affiliated with him, but they definitely push his work too. He's very knowledgeable. He's worked with Morgan Stanley, a bunch of other companies. And he talks about how the psychological level of 100,000 for Bitcoin is great. I think he did. Actually, that might have been another video. I've watched so many videos. But talking about how the psychological level is so great for Bitcoin, because now that we've hit 100,000, going under 100,000 has turned into, oh, hey, there's value. I'm getting it at 91. I'm getting it at 94. I'm getting it cheap because, it's going back to 100K. That's the new floor. And I think that's very true, not just like within retail. I think that's true within, all levels of the investment tiers throughout markets. I think people are looking at 100K as the new magnet. And that's a beautiful thing to see. It just gives us a lot of upside in the not too distant future as people buy the dip until they decide that it's time to rip. And again, with just what we were looking at before, guys, and I don't know if I'll probably find specific clips maybe with Jeff to talk to a number of points so that you guys don't have to go through the whole video because it's a long one. And it is not light on the content. He is a very brilliant person who understands these markets very well, and he's talking about concepts that don't come to mind for a lot of people on a daily basis. So I'll see if I can find some of the highlights and relay them over to you guys. But again, I think the list, and I kind of briefly spoke to it here in one of the posts I just did. It looks like it's right underneath the video that's streaming on X. Said, if you think he's great, this is another video I had posted. I go, you need to listen to Jeff, especially his thoughts on Bitcoin and volatility and how the price goes higher, as well as how Bitcoin doesn't have natural method to pull its price down like oil, gold, and equities do. It's a great video. I'd check it out. And then there's another one right above it where I'm asking Ben for his thoughts on it. And this is another person who has, if you don't,
that's what I.
He's not super fond of the MSTU and MSTX. And again, I get it because he's right. He's right about all of it. You have to get the timing perfect. But Richard Byworth is also brilliant. This is somebody who's worked in the convertible bond market for like a decade. And he's really good at what he does. And he talks about how this is just such a brilliant tool that Michael Saylor has created. But there's a lot of good stuff out there, guys. All right, let me see. Sumit, second today, great pre-market. LW Crypto, all the sideliner retail investors finally get into it. It's taking off. Uber, former taxi drivers, maybe at the top. No, we're not at the top. We're not at the top. You got to realize, so it's so easy to know that we're not at the top by like just about every method possible. The only people I hear that say that we're at the top, it's people where it's their first cycle. LW, how many cycles have you been through? Let me know. Have you been through like 2, 3, 4, or is it less? I'm willing to bet that it's not a lot. That's my guess. I could be wrong, but I think most people who've done this for a long time get the ebb and flow of it all. And again, when you're looking at Google Trends for the word Bitcoin and you're seeing that we're less than what we were last cycle, and again, this cycle, I will argue over and over and over again, was cut short by the Fed raising rates at the most aggressive rate in history. It killed every market, all of them, the memes, the SPACs, Bitcoin, crypto, shitcoins, all the dogs were destroyed. Everybody was barking, okay? That's what happened here. So if that didn't happen, I would argue that last cycle, we still could have hit this peak and probably had something that was at least comparable, if not higher, to 2017. So when we're down here doing our little baby steps, we ain't doing shit. And I'm not just making up the fact that, oh, this should be up higher because this one was. If you look back over here in previous cycles, you can see the same pattern where the cycle tops were high, and then before that, they were lower. And so it was low, higher, higher. Over here, it's not even registerable. So you can see how these things, interest increases as the network grows. So we're nowhere near the top. We're just not. Devin Smith, morning, Jesse. I manage Brother's account, and he is up 445% on Palantir. Should I sell and move into MSTR, MSTX? It's up to you, man. I don't give financial advice. I know if I had those kind of gains on Palantir, I would probably take the opportunity to look into MicroStrategy and at least understand the play so that you could develop your own thoughts. Paul Stewart, strategy to jump back in, DCA. Brian, good morning. John Warnick, checks something. Astro, thanks for the sub, Kyle. Peter, hey all. Richie Ray, could Trump put a tariff on convertible bonds? It seems too good to be true. No, we're okay. Summit, why complicate the MicroStrategy story? It's a leveraged BTC fund and only decoupled in March of 2024. That's a really simplistic way of looking at it. It's way more complicated than that. You're giving it access to a $50 trillion bond market that wants the kind of returns they can get. I think the convertible bonds, last I heard, I don't know, they're between 100 and 200% for the year. Certainly beats the 3+% rate that the bond market gets. And so when you're looking at Michael Saylor, who's already bought up more than a year's supply himself, and actually with the math, I think I was looking at it's 2.5 years of supply that's been bought up between the Bitcoin ETFs and Michael Saylor. Might even be closer to 3 now. And again, all of these things, MicroStrategy is more than just a leveraged play. It is the funnel that will suck up all the Bitcoin and lock them up, along with the ETFs. Because Saylor lately, I mean, he's been just about as aggressive, if more aggressive, than the ETFs have been. And the story behind this is great because it can go a lot higher. All right, keep going. Humpty. Where'd you go? I moved you here too quick. All right. There you go. Jesse, I sold 40,000 Mara position for MSTR. Approve or disapprove? I mean, I'm not a financial advisor, but if I was just some random dude on the internet in his basement, I'd be like, that's probably cool. It's probably not a bad idea. But again, Mara's going to do all right too. The miners are going to do well. They're just they need energy prices to come down, and they need that 150K. Rumi, how is BTC doesn't go up in the right in the overtime with the mining cost rising? How BTC price doesn't go up in the right over time with the mining cost rising? I mean, these are very different things, and that's a really big rabbit hole of a question. So I'll probably skip it for now. Let me go back over here, though. We got a lot of news events. Let's go over it. We need to get around here. So let me just do this. And what is it, 7:16 right now? I should also pull up the economic calendar and just see where we're sitting. Yeah, supply and demand. That works. That's a good answer, actually. Yeah, so non-farm productivity, unit labor at 7:30, so in roughly 13 minutes. Red Book at 7:55, and then the WASD report later, and then really not much after that. So yeah, pretty chill. Let me see. I want to see what the week looks like here. And then maybe we'll get back to news. We might have to look at what the weeks looks like in here, then the news, and then get back to the Bitcoin story because I got a lot to talk about there. Oh, not previous week. This week. I know that I remember there was stuff I was looking at overnight. So let's see what it was. Yeah, China's unemployment rate's getting better. Some of this stuff is so fucking funny. So funny. So funny. Let's see what the fixed asset investment. These numbers are just so broken. What does the unemployment rate look like? Over long term. Just look at this. This is so funny. Boom, unemployment rate up here. Just like the numbers on unemployment just with China, a lot of Chinese data is just so broken. You could visibly see how untruthful it is. It's funny. Some things they have a harder time with bending the truth on, though, and house prices is probably one of those. They can still manipulate it, but not so much. Let me just look here. I'm just going to roll through, see if there's anything of interest that we don't already know. Again, there's so much garbage data out of this country. Fixed asset investment going down. That's probably pretty accurate. All right, let's see. We got manufacturing, PMI. Okay, so did these things come out? Let me refresh here real quick. I don't know why that's not. Oh, I've got the wrong one. Aye. Going back. Here we go. This is what I was looking for. Mexico inflation rate year over year, Monday. All right, we already got that one. Let's see here. Maybe it is just Tuesday. We had balance of trade. Oh, yeah, balance of trade, exports, all this data. That's what I was looking at. Okay, cool. So, of course, the balance of trade went up a lot. much more than forecast, and even more than consensus. That's what we talked about yesterday. And again, this isn't a great trend, but I do think this is coming to an end. As again, I think they're pulling forward a lot of exports that won't be there in the future. Imports, we talked about how that was going to suck and maybe be worse than the previous. It is. It's negative 3.9%. Forecast was positive 3.6, and consensus was 0.3. So you can see how all these analysts with China don't know shit. And I know a lot more than they do, it seems like. So imports down, exports again, they're up, they're positive, but I do think that retailers and all these companies are pulling things over early before tariffs kick in. And I do think, again, we'll get strategic tariffs, but there could be some blunt force stuff first. You kind of, with tariffs, guys, you got to think of the way Trump's going to be. He's going to come out with a stick and just whack them as much as he can, and then he'll pull back and be strategic once he gets some kind of negotiation going on. But you have to have a fair approach to negotiation. Otherwise, you're not even, I mean, you got to let them know you're not going to be Joe Biden and that you're awake. That's pretty much it. So again, China exports up, but I don't know, not doing great. And I think they're going to roll over into negative territory heading into Q1. So that tells us all we need to know there. Not much going on with Japan right now. Machine tool orders year over year are 3%. Forecast was 3.2. What does this look like for a trend? I'm trying to get more acquainted with these markets, guys, because I want to understand major economies and just our neighbors as the months and quarters go on. All right, so tool orders looks like it's in a decline. I don't know if there's seasonality here. I can't really see too much right out of the gate when looking at it, so I'll probably have to do some digging to see if I can make any patterns out of that. Germany, it looks like the inflation rate year over year, 2.2%. That's pretty flat, right? Let's see here. What was the trend? Yeah, so this is still a little hotter than they're normally accustomed to, or maybe closer to the average for a while. Yeah, I mean, there's no inflation. This number will just keep coming down for those guys. Harmonized, 2.4%. It probably looks similar. I mean, it's much more depressed quickly. But again, it's closer to the tops over here. And I don't think we're going to see it curving up. We'll see. All that means is that I don't know that market as well as I think I do, if that's the case. All right, NFIB business optimism was 101.7. My friend Caleb posted this earlier. It doesn't seem very bearish. It's higher than previous. It's much higher than consensus and forecast. Businesses are optimistic right now. We kind of want that, right? Again, CapEx, expenditures, all that kind of stuff. Mexico consumer confidence is at 47.7. Theirs went down. I wonder why. Maybe their consumer confidence is lower because of the threat of 25% tariffs and a bunch of other stuff where we've talked about making it to where companies like Tesla aren't building factories in Mexico and instead doing them here. So yeah, that totally makes sense. So we'll get back to this in about 7 minutes. We'll get the non-farm, and then we'll get unit labor costs. I might be able to go just a little bit further down the Bitcoin rabbit hole while we wait for that. So let me go back here. Then we'll listen to Rick Santelli and all the rest. Maybe I'll check out comments too. I really want to get through some of this news. I feel like I haven't been doing enough of that lately. So again, I told you about Jeff's great video, and then the one that's attached to it in here too, the one that came before. James, it says too bullish. It talks about how Eric Trump says he says I don't see how a BTC reserve is not going to happen. We'll just listen to Eric for 40 seconds talk about Bitcoin here.
Hotel guests and our honorable members, right? I mean, it's a shift in how companies like ours receive money. And I want to be very clear, that revolution isn't coming. That revolution's already here. There's just so many people in the world that truly can't see it. The vast majority of people can't see it, and that's scary as hell. And I can tell you, a lot of eyes were opened when Bitcoin hit 100,000. And I can tell you a hell of a lot more eyes are going to be open when Bitcoin hits 1 million. And I'm confident it's going to hit 1 million. I think we're all confident in this room that's going to hit 1 million.
Yeah, so for being the son of the president, again, Donald Trump campaigned on supporting Bitcoin and doing all the things that we're talking about. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Everybody on his team, every secretary, department, everybody is pro Bitcoin and pro crypto. And on that thought, Yaron Panina says, Jesse, after January 20th, should David Sachs be allowed to hold or trade stock or crypto? I don't think the Ethics Act would apply to him, even if it passes. But isn't there a huge? I mean, there probably is. I don't care. I want, like, yes, he should probably do that. That's probably the cleanest way to not have some kind of political attack against him. I really don't care either way, though. It means very little to me in my investment career, and then what happens with any of this. But yeah, sure. All right, so, and I put what kind of positive news might come out of Bitcoin MENA? So again, this conference in the United Arab Emirates, just like talking about all the positive stuff, and they had right here they're talking about or they're showing Eric Trump speaking because I think he was ahead. Oh, I just realized I'm not even following that. I should probably do that later. Let me do that. I'm gonna follow these guys super quick. Also, more points. So I said, this is how we get more affordable housing. And so I want to make my point real quick here. So Norgard said, once I discovered Bitcoin, I became entirely disinterested in real estate as an investment asset. I am beginning to see my real estate professional friends come to the same conclusion. Gary Cardone, Grant Cardone's brother, talked about this briefly too, how he had bought this big mansion and like there were floodwaters coming up to it because I think it was in Florida. Or one of these, eastern coastal states, and he was talking about how I've got all this risk with this, and this is so much to manage, and it's expensive. There's taxes, there's all these things, and he's like, and really, if I just would have bought Bitcoin, I would have made so much more money. So what my point here is that we want more affordable housing in the future, and BlackRock and other companies, Blackstone, BlackRock, a bunch of companies, Warren Buffett. Berkshire Hathaway is buying houses. There's a house near me, not too far away, that is like, it used to be like 5 or 6 units or something. And they own it now and they're trying to sell it. So all these companies buying this stuff, not just companies though, individuals, they won't need to do as much of that in the future because some people are trying to diversify their wealth and they've been told all their lives that the way to do that is real estate. And so they don't just own one house, they own 2 or 3 or an apartment complex. A lot of people speculate in the value of these properties so that they can make money. That's kind of what the left was trying to do. They were trying to get it to where there were a bunch of rich landlords that owned everything. Like again, the World Economic Forum has talked about many times, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. And that was the approach they were trying to go down. And so that was a perfect model. All that stuff was working out great. But I think that gets destroyed with embracing Bitcoin because I think people with Bitcoin will realize or everybody that's looking at this market is starting to realize they're looking at real estate. They're looking at how tough the market can be. And don't get me wrong, that'll probably surge here in the future as the rates come down in the beginning of the year. But they're like, maybe I should be putting more money into Bitcoin. And that's every asset, right? Like that's the bond market. That's that's Bitcoin, that's currencies, that's everything. But they're going to start, people are going to start pulling away and real estate and things like it will become more affordable and they won't become the de facto thing that you think about putting your money into so that you can grow your wealth over time. It was a great tool for a long time, right? You borrow debt, you put like 20% down, you borrow debt, and you pay it at a low interest rate for a long time, low interest rate, and it worked out wonderfully because you're making small payments, you're leveraging up. So like let's say you put 200,000 down on $1 million house, that $1 million house is appreciating at like whatever the rate of inflation is in that, and then in that local district, in parts of California, other places, you're getting 10%, like double digits in a year for inflation. You could make $100,000 if it was 10% in a year, and you only have a loan that you're paying slowly over time, so you haven't devoted a lot of capital to it up front. It's really brilliant, and then you're getting a better rate of return versus what you might be paying for the house. So it's kind of a brilliant thesis. But again, it's one of those things where that's going to break in the future. And I think home prices go down, Bitcoin go up. And I know this is pretty deep down the rabbit hole today, but that's kind of what I want to do. This is more of what I want to do. I don't want to just be the news and weather guy. Fuck that. That's not me. Never has been. All right, so next, Fred Krueger, MicroStrategy NASDAQ 100 inclusion announcement coming Friday. That would be interesting. We'll see what happens with that. We potentially got some Microsoft news. I don't think it'll pass, but again, the Bitcoin ETF them putting strategic Bitcoin reserve on their balance sheet. I don't think it's going to happen, but if it did, I mean, Michael Saylor, if he really had 2 meetings with them, boy, would that be fucking crazy. Would that cause a cascade of all the other things we talked about? Yes. Bitcoin Magazine, just in, Trump's Middle East convoy, Steve Witkoff, says the whole world is underallocated to Bitcoin. His entire administration supports Bitcoin. That's why I never understood. People are like, oh, dude, Kamala would end up like doing it too. And Bitcoin really, like, it doesn't really matter if Kamala gets elected. Bullshit. You have an entire administration that's pro-Bitcoin. Were the liberals going to give that to you? No, they weren't. That wasn't a part. There are people that are a part of that group that are smart and younger, and they get Bitcoin. But the adoption of Bitcoin and it getting pushed out to corporations and nation states and states in this country is going to increase under this administration, and it's going to do it in a magnificent way. I hope you understand that. I'm feeling ranty today. Today's going to be a fucking good day. Anybody who missed out on this one is going to regret it. Simply Bitcoin. Breaking. Publicly. Oh, and I got to get to the news. We'll get back to this one. All right. Non-farm productivity in line. Wonderful. Unit labor costs. 0.8% quarter over quarter unit labor costs. Consensus 1.5. Forecast 1.9. Whoa. Costs coming down. I can't say we hate that. Let's listen to our boy Rick Santelli. Get his take on it real quick, and then we'll go from there. Then we'll go back, because I got more Bitcoin shit to talk about. We're doing it today. We're getting into the weeds. Oh, 1 second. I don't appear to be logged in. Oh, I am logged in. Now it's coming up. It's thinking about it. It might do something soon. Let's see here. We got thought processes. Let me see. Well, you know what? Fuck this one, because I literally have one playing right down here. We'll just do this one. Maybe I've got too many computers. Maybe I've got too many monitors. I don't know. Here we go. All right. What you got, Ricky?
Rick Santelli standing by with some breaking economic
Today feels
data.
bouncy. I feel
Give it
bouncy.
to us.
Yes. These are productivity numbers, Joe, that, secret sauce of the economy. These are non-farm productivity levels for the third quarter. Final read. So we take 2.2% our last
people
look,
buying
and it
Google because
remains.
of their
It is
fucking
now the
AI
final
announcement?
permanent read.
Or their
2.2%
quantum
on
computing?
productivity.
Sorry,
It's the
quantum
best
computing.
quarter going back to the last quarter of 2023 when it was 3.1. And I know there's been a lot of talk about the improvement in productivity, and there is some truth to that. But to put a face on it, if you look at the year before COVID, here's the 4 quarters of productivity: 3.4, 2.4, 4.6, and 3.8. Those are all the 2019 numbers. So it's not as though these are lofty, but they are making a comeback from some bouncing around they did post and during COVID. Now, unit labor costs, they're coming in at 0.8. And this is really interesting, because on our last look, it's almost half. It's actually more than half of the 1.9 that we had on our last look. We were looking for it to rise a bit. 1.9 was the highest level going back to the last quarter of last year. Now, when we revise that to only 0.8, 0.8 will be the lightest, going all the way back to the last quarter of 22. So that is pretty good news, and you are seeing a little bit of buying, pushing yields down on that. We also had that small business optimism index, and I'm sure you all pointed it out this morning. That was the best in 3.5 years. Now, currently we're at 413 in a 2-year. That's unchanged on the session. And if you look at a 10-year, it was 423 in front of the number. It's now at 422. That's up 2 basis points. And at 1 Eastern, we start the first of 3 legs of supply from the U.S. Treasury coupon.
Yeah, we'll be looking at that shortly. Real quickly. Amit, hey, Jesse, not sure if you got this yesterday, but when do you think you'll start looking at hedges more seriously? Honestly, man, it's probably the latter part of Q1. I don't want to be early on hedges. That's not the point. Hedges are just insurance. You shouldn't even be trying to make money off of it. You just want to lessen the impact of downside risk. Now, I could end up if we do have a Christmas rally. I could see myself getting into some stuff like TLT, maybe even a 500,000 or something in that, just to kind of hedge myself from volatility that might come at the beginning of next year. So, and maybe even 1 million. I don't know. But I haven't spoke to this, but yesterday I did sell 20 contracts for Tesla. So I'm still above like 55%, I think, of my position of what I originally had at my high for my options contracts. But I've sold the other 45. Essentially made a little over $2 million off Tesla this last trip in the last like quarter. So it's been, well, it's been a little bit longer. It's been about 2 quarters, but whatever. A lot of those gains were more recently. So I've got those locked in now, and I've got it locked in and then some. And then I still have over $1.5 million in Tesla calls right now. So I'm feeling very good about those. But so I've got over 300,000 in cash right now. My intent is actually to withdraw some of that money. I got to do some account shifting and stuff between different accounts, but to withdraw some money at the beginning of the year to pay off credit cards, at 0% 18-month offers that I like to routinely take out. I can't, I'm sorry, I'm a cheap motherfucker. I like debt when it costs me like 2 to 3% a year. That's some of my favorite debt. So I like to play with the credit cards. A decent amount, but I want to pay those off. I don't want to have any credit card debt for my wife and myself, so that's the game plan at the beginning of the year. That's why I took out some yesterday, more than I probably would have otherwise. But I just want to be safe. I pretty much do this all the time. And Tesla, I've taken out from Tesla before and then had it go down and benefit. I don't even care if it goes up. Sometimes you have to take care of regular expenses. These credit cards were another form of leverage for me, just cheap leverage, 2 to 3% APR. So it's a pretty good deal. But yeah, so I got to pay those off. And now here's what's going to happen though. If we get some kind of big dumpster dive fire here in the next couple of weeks for some reason, and we don't get our Santa rally, which I doubt highly, I would then dedicate those funds. Like if Bitcoin was going into the 80s or something, especially low 80s, I would be dedicating those funds and into it, probably along with more Tesla. Just to be clear on like what I've done recently and what I'm going to be doing going forward. I want to make sure you guys are clear and understand. Let me keep going here. Let me keep going down. Yeah, so Bitcoin. So again, breaking. Publicly listed Indian company Jet King Ltd. surges 20% after announcing its corporate Bitcoin strategy. I keep saying this over and over again. It's going to be like 1 a day we get these. Then it'll be 2 a day. Then it'll be 3 a day and people don't care. And then it'll be states and then it'll be countries. So you just got to realize, and it won't be the big countries talking about it first. They'll come later. Outside of the United States, who's made it very clear that we're headed there. And maybe other countries do want to voice that. Maybe that is a thing. Maybe they want to. Sorry, I'm talking through this in my head as I'm saying it. That's kind of what I have to do with a live YouTube channel. So just keep that in mind always. But maybe they do have to do that. Maybe they want to be seen as strong and be pointed towards the future, especially if they want to be investable. So maybe they do need to jump on board like right away. Leads into my next one here. Fred Krueger, love him or hate him, love the power law theory or not. He said the Sailor 8-step playbook for world domination. And this isn't so much the Sailor. I mean, he's implementing it, but this is what's happening for Bitcoin. So let's just listen here. Your enemies have gold. Again, like this is what the United States, I should say this. This is what the United States is going to be doing along with Michael Saylor, along with everybody in democracies and authoritarian regimes around the world. They're going to realize this. Some will come later. India, I fear there's such a love for gold in the Southeast Asian countries. China is no different. And so I don't know if they'll come right away and maybe that'll hurt them. You know what I mean? Or maybe they'll see the light right away. But this is what's happening. And this is going to lead to another post that we talk about with El Salvador and Nayib Bukele on $3 trillion worth of gold findings near them. But it says your enemies have gold. Sell all the gold. So we should sell all the gold, right? Like at an increasing pace. Like start selling the gold, and then as you see where the world's headed, continue to apply pressure, and make it ever increasing pressure on the rest of your enemies, right? So China would definitely fit into that. And they've been buying up massive reserves. They have like one of the largest stockpiles on earth. I can't even remember what the number is. If anybody has it, link it. But so if we start selling our gold and buying Bitcoin, that's a military strategic move. That is a Jason Lowry. Let me see here. That is a Jason Lowry, the guy who's a part of Space Force, Major P. Jason Lowry. That is that kind of thing. So I could see that happening, right? Like I could see this is literally what these are some of the things we need. They're talking through. They're trying to figure out how to maintain military superiority, economic superiority, superiority over their world reserve status of the U.S. dollar. That's where stable coins are coming in great because they're all U.S. dollar based. They're not based on BRICS currencies. I could fucking tell you that. But you do that. You sell the gold, you dump the gold, you buy the Bitcoin, and you're burning your enemies. And then at the same time, you legitimize USD stablecoins. USD becomes the world currency because it is, but it just makes that transition. This is like a well-articulated way of what I've been saying for a long time. The dollar can maintain its supremacy and get stronger even with monetary printing increasing because the world is headed towards this. The world is going to find out that gold is just a trinket and it's no longer what it was for thousands of years. And I get that it's hard to understand that concept because you're like, well, for thousands of years, people believed this was like one of the most valuable things around, and it made it valuable. And how can that possibly just end now at this moment in time? What is the probability of that? And normally I would say it's pretty low, but we've got the best fucking mechanism for storing wealth in the history of humanity sitting in front of us. So I would argue that it can happen much quicker than people realize. And if you look at the history of how long Bitcoin's been alive and what it's turned into already, I hope you realize how true that statement is because it only gets faster. If you guys don't know what S-curve adoption is, I am on a rant today. This is going to be a good one. Or at least I'll think it's great. We'll see whether or not everybody else does. S-curve adoption rates are something you need to understand, okay? Let me just see if I can, let me visit. So virtually everybody that's in this space, everybody that's in Bitcoin land, okay? We all have, I should say this, all the smart people that are in this have a very clear understanding of where we are. It's down here, okay? It's down here. We're just creeping into early majority. But the S-curve has a ramp, and it is wicked. It is wicked and it is powerful. And so when people talk about the theory of like the cycles maybe coming to an end, they're talking about it because of things like this. They're talking about it because we're heading into an S-curve. My buddy Adam Beck talks about this all the time. He's an OG cryptographer from back in the day who worked with Satoshi Nakamoto to build this thing. And he talks about this all the time, about how this S-curve is headed right for us and people don't realize it. And that Jeff Park guy, the Asian one I was talking about, that was speaking to the options contracts and derivatives, he speaks to some of this too, where he thinks that outside of maybe psychology, human psychology, saying, oh, there's a cycle, so let's play the cycle, outside of a human psychology standpoint, there really won't need to be a cycle anymore. And based on the scale and the issuance rate, it really won't be impactful. And I agree with that. I think all of that's probably true. Whether we still have a cycle or not, I'm not sure though, because we still could, because again, human psychology is a completely different metric that is not rational, but predictable. So I don't know. I think that, but I know this. I know we're headed into this S-curve. I know there's massive amounts of money to be made. I hope you know that too. And let's just keep going down here. I said, then they use the funds to buy Bitcoin for their strategic reserve. Brilliant. And I was joking a little bit. But this is a FUD article from the Financial Times talking about how El Salvador is going to scale back Bitcoin dreams to seal a $1.3 billion IMF deal. I'm no fan of the IMF, but let's talk through it. So, Central American nation to make acceptance of cryptocurrency voluntary to unlock international lending. So, the gist of this is these guys El Salvador and Bukele, they said, yeah, we won't make it mandatory that you have to, use Bitcoin as the financial system. And they're like, okay, cool. Here's $1.3 billion. And great, more power to them. And again, I was joking, but maybe it doesn't turn out that way. They should dump that, or they should take that 1.3 billion and buy a shit ton of Bitcoin, or add on to their volcano, Bitcoin mining operation with a decent chunk of it, in my opinion. But I think I don't know. There's so many brilliant things coming. And I think Nayib Bukele talking about the $3 trillion in gold that's sitting around them that they can dig up, I think is just another really clear way of saying gold is not like Bitcoin in any way. You can increase the supply at any time and devalue it. Same thing with oil, right? And you have strategic reasons for why you might want to do that. Like with gold, if your friends have a bunch of, or your enemies have a bunch of gold and ever increasing amounts, you probably don't want the price of gold to go up. You probably want it to go down, right? Especially if you're dumping it so that you can buy Bitcoin for the strategic reserve that we're going to create. Anyway, so states, speaking of states, Bitcoin news, Florida has a very good chance of creating a strategic Bitcoin reserve this session, which starts in Q1 of 2025. I'm sorry, I thought before it might be the end of this year, but yeah, Q1 of 2025. So again, we're going to be just hearing this narrative, and narratives are great, guys. Narratives will make you rich. If you're early to a narrative and you understand how long a narrative can maintain, you can do really, really well. And all the narratives behind Bitcoin are positive, and this kind of stuff is going to be lingering. Will they? Won't they? Will be happening for corporations and states, and it will be getting people excited and getting them into this. British Hodl, I like this guy. He's really opinionated though, and cusses, and I don't know, you wouldn't like him. But anyway, it's too much like me. But I do think he's brilliant in some regards. I disagree with him on others, but I love it when people are brilliant and bold. And so I want to speak to this. He said, this will be the upcoming bear case for MicroStrategy bears. I predict they will, but Bitcoin has outperformed MicroStrategy because, again, it's happening probably right now. It probably will happen. You'll see Bitcoin outperform burst for a period of time. And it'll be a short period of time, and then we'll start going up again. But I agree with him. That's going to be the narrative. You can see it coming. The writing's on the wall. So yes, there is a chance that Bitcoin outperforms MicroStrategy until the ATM is used up. I argue they're going to use it up really quick. Really quick. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but this guy named Michael Saylor seems to be trying to spend his ATM as quickly as he can. Currently just over 9 billion left. That's not a lot. Why? Because MSTR is doing exactly what they said they'll do. They're selling shares and buying Bitcoin. Selling shares puts downward pressure on price, but converting that into Bitcoin puts upward pressure on Bitcoin. We'll look at that in a little bit here. It's a really good point. Bears will take this as meaning that MicroStrategy trade is done and it was just a bubble. And right in the middle of their Team America dance victory parade. I like that. MicroStrategy will slingshot higher as the ATM comes to an end and catch up with the valuation of Bitcoin plus the business value premium it deserves. You will see the conversion in the next few months, and these just need to turn up their intelligence level, and they wouldn't say that. And again, I don't know. We'll see if MSTX and MSTU end up being good trades. I do think that if we trade sideways, the longer that happens, and like over the next few weeks and heading into the beginning of next year, it will increase the opportunity that these afford you. So again, maybe, I don't know, you don't stick with MSTR. Again, it's on leverage on leverage on leverage. So because Bitcoin is volatile enough, but yeah, take it for what it's worth. What do we have here? MicroStrategy prices artificially expressed by selling shares in order to acquire the least artificial asset humanity has ever created and discovered. Beware of this low IQ bear case that will take over the next. I like that he speaks to narratives because narratives are powerful and they're everywhere. Oh, Adam Beck right here. Cool. I didn't even know I had this up. In my opinion, the Bitcoin S-curve may enter steeper years now, and if we're past gradually phase into suddenly, new users compounding adoption effects and validating diminishing return halving theory. Upwards to S-curve top like Hal Finney's January 2009, 10 million BTC estimated 200 trillion addressable market. It's amazing that these guys had foresight. That Hal Finney, who I believe is Satoshi Nakamoto, pretty clearly had the foresight to understand what this asset would turn into before he was sealed off from the rest of the world and eventually died alone in his body. So really tragic story with that guy. Let's keep going. Reminder, in just 11 months, BlackRock has amassed over 500,000 Bitcoin, or 2.4% of the total supply. Don't sell your coins to the whales. I would agree with that. British HODL again. I think Saylor is going for 500,000 Bitcoin by the end of the year. We got more data I think here too to pull up. They're 76,350 coins away. 1 week of aggressive uptick in volatility on the stock would do it, and Santa's on the way. And again, the bond market, guys, these bond makers are paying for the vol. They're paying for the volatility. That's why this is such a valuable asset that they're being given. It allows them to be able to do things with hedging, and just the cleanness of these strategies is just amazing. They can make a steady income. It's just brilliant, and with low to no risk. So you won't see this going away, I don't think, until we've reached the top, of which we're nowhere near. We looked at the Google trend, right? This is not a top. This is not a top right here, to be very clear. Dennis Porter, the order is shifting. BRICS is rapidly becoming the threat to the G7 dominance. I actually don't agree with that because I think China is diminishing greatly. I do believe countries like India are ones we should befriend and hold close because they represent the same values as us and have a decent democracy. And so we should work with them to help their expansion and make sure that they see us as friends and not enemies like China has turned us into. But that said, that's my bias. The U.S. must take drastic steps to protect our interest as we enter a multipolar world. Bitcoin can hedge against the risks that BRICS creates. We must have a strategic Bitcoin reserve. I love it for the presentation. So get this out there. Ben Sigmund, Google Willow, Quantum versus Bitcoin encryption. There's a bunch of places, guys, where you can watch videos. The market didn't drop yesterday because of Google's creating quantum, computers that are going to hack Bitcoin's network. First off, that's just fucking stupid. They're nowhere close to it. Optimistically, they're 5 years away from having a quantum computer that could actually be useful like a regular computer. They can make them incredible for like very specific aimed tasks. But they can't make it like a regular computer. They can't get it to where its accuracy is consistent and more powerful than the supercomputers we can build right now. And it's one of the things holding them back. But even if they did that, there are Bitcoiners that have already been working on creating quantum resistance for Bitcoin. And Bitcoin would be a lot more easily adapted to any kind of fixes than your fucking bank who's running COBOL code and like just old school systems that have been around for over 50 fucking years. So if you want to worry about anything with quantum computing, worry about your bank account and whether they start firing nukes because they've taken over control of the U.S. government. Don't worry about Bitcoin. Bitcoin will probably be one of the most resilient things out of all of that. And Bitcoin has something called a hard fork, where even if it did break, you could literally just patch it and then restore it back to its original state. If you don't believe me, look at the alpha stages of Bitcoin and look at what Ethereum did not too far after they had grown. I mean, that's the reason we have, what is it? God, not Ethereum and Ethereum. It's not Ethereum Cash. What the fuck was it? I can't even remember anymore. What was the spinoff from the hard fork with Ethereum? You guys know, right? Tell me. So yeah, don't worry about this. It doesn't matter from every level. It's irrelevant. We've already went here. We thought about it last cycle. We thought about it the one before. They thought about it the one before that. It's okay. Classic. Thank you. Oh my God. How did I forget Ethereum Classic? This is what happens when there's so many shit coins. You just start to lose them after a few cycles. That's why I don't play that market anymore. Not really. Fred Krueger, again, whether you love him or hate him, he said gold is going the way of silver, which went the way of glass beads, which will go the way of copper tokens, which will go the way of giant yap stones, Michael Saylor. And guys, if you want to understand all of that, like the history of money, the Bitcoin Standard is the book that's being referenced by Michael Saylor with this quote. So you should read it. It's really good. Legitimate Targets said breaking El Salvador has 3 trillion in unmined gold. Again, what happens if the United States dumps its reserves to buy Bitcoin and El Salvador is doing it and other countries get on board? Imagine the flush out. Bitcoin will flip gold, says Balaji. Balaji is brilliant. It's already underway. We talked about this, I think, the other day. Let me see if there's anything else here. There's my statement about all these things. Throw an or statement in between all of them. Yeah, I think that's it. Oh, there's one more maybe. Wall Street Engine. Every now and then, when a quantum breakthrough makes the news, concerns pop up about the possibility of breaking AES or cracking Bitcoin. GPT estimates you need around 1,500 qubits to even take a shot at Bitcoin within a 10 to 20 year time frame. But when companies like Google start making announcements, markets start paying attention. Willow is 105 qubits, not 1,500. So again, just one of those things to make sure that you understand. There's probably more in here, but I think that's good for the Bitcoin front. Let's go back and look at our other economic data that came in. How's Bitcoin doing? It looks like a little better after it really liked, I think it liked the consumer confidence. I know it liked the unit labor costs. Next thing here, 755 coming out right now, Redbook year over year. Let's see how those retail numbers are looking. Hopefully good. Looks like it's grinding away. Anyway, sorry, I'm kind of on a rant this morning. I just, I don't know. I get worried about people. It seems like people's emotions shift on a dime when we have a down day. And so I'm trying to really make sure that two of the biggest things I believe in, Bitcoin and Tesla, that people really understand the underlying principles behind them and what make them so valuable and why I believe in them, so that they don't get weak ass little bitch hands and sell at 100K, our new base. This is the magnet, guys. What you have to realize is the fact that we're under 100K right now doesn't mean it's any kind of rejection. There's the Redbook data. Doesn't mean it's a rejection of it. It just means that's the new magnet. That 100,000 number is the new magnet. And actually consolidating underneath of that number and having some scam wicks down, we could even get another big one that goes into the 80s. It can happen. But that doesn't mean it's bearish, especially if it gets bought up quickly. That just means that we're consolidating and we're getting ready to take off. And this is the time where the parabola kicks in. And if you don't know what parabola looks like, look at Palantir. Look at Palantir. If you don't know what parabola looks like, look at Palantir. This is a pretty good definition of it. It's like we had this strong impulse, right? This strong impulse that really shot us up. Then we had some grind. I would argue that Bitcoin's shooting up really largely over the beginning of this year and then grinding sideways could be equated to this. And then you just have like one little washout at the end, and then you're off. And you're off. This is the stage that we're heading into right now. I hope you realize. Rocket Lab, another good one. Again, this is the stage that we're heading into. Let's get back over here, though. Redbook year over year, we did get the data. It's 4.2%. Previous was 7.4. Again, no, the trend here's. Let me just show you this. So the trend, in my opinion, is still high, and I think the next read will pop up really good. So the trend is up. We know that this season has been great, and we can see since like February 2024 that the trend is up and to the right. So that's all good. So I don't think we really got much out of this. How are we sitting on Bitcoin? Still 97.8. I think that's a bounce zone. Whether we can maintain it or not, I think we're going to try. Where to get the merch? You should be able to find it. I need to probably like get a website or something and just link it so everything is in one place for the Discord and like explanations of what I offer. So I did get a URL, but the merch store, you should be able to find it on mobile. It shows up well on mobile. I don't know about desktop with YouTube, but if you're looking at mobile, you'll see it. And once we get that website designed, I'm probably going to have admin wife do it. Then I'll just have that link be like the universal link for everything. So it'll be on YouTube, it'll be on X, it'll be everywhere. And people can just click on that and then find out more and get all their questions answered. So I think that's probably the way we're going to do it going forward. Hopefully that'll make things easier. All right, what else we got here? Yeah, Rocket Lab, anything that's just went really parabolic over a short period of time, right? Render OG, like even XRP was a great example of that. You want to see parabola? Look at XRP. Mucho Shekel, did you see Optimus bot walking? Dude, we've got to talk about Optimus. That's actually, you segued me into the next part of this discussion, which is Tesla. So, and maybe I might just hit a couple of MicroStrategy points. I might have one or two, and then I want to jump over to Tesla because I feel like haven't been giving Tesla enough. Yeah, my MicroStrategy or my YouTube homepage has a decent amount. I need to get everything in one place. Guys, if you want to know more about MicroStrategy and this play and kind of some of the potential multiples behind it, from some people that I believe are really knowledgeable, like people affiliated with True North, which is where that Ben Workman guy is that talks about convertible bonds a lot, along with a bunch of other really smart people. Again, the Quant Bros from YouTube. Check him out. He does a really great job breaking down his thoughts. Here, let me just read this real quick. He said, MicroStrategy has now accumulated 2% of the hardest money the world has ever seen. For those that need to hear this, this is not bearish. Important statistics. MSTR has raised $15.63 billion since October 30th, 40 days, 25 trading days, roughly $625 million per trading day. That's an insane number, just first off. On average, 4,286 Bitcoin were purchased per day since October 30th. That's insane. That helps the Bitcoin network because it takes these out of supply. I mean, again, Saylor is not selling. Saylor's company's oath, the oath of MicroStrategy, is that it will never sell Bitcoin. It will go to zero. It will let its holdings go to zero. It will never sell anything. So you best believe it. To date, MicroStrategy has utilized $11.7 billion of $21 billion ATM, 56% of planned. This is called under-promising and over-delivering. In the last 40 days, MicroStrategy has repurchased 381 days worth of the newly minted Bitcoin supply. Again, over a year, this epoch. Number 5, Bitcoin held on balance sheet has increased 123% this year. That's insane. I would have never expected that, but he understands what he has. Michael Saylor is a brilliant man. He saw all the major tech companies. He saw the internet. He saw the wave of mobile. He literally wrote a book about it. All this stuff he saw well in advance. Okay, he's brilliant. Anyway, MicroStrategy has 12.5. Let's go up here. MicroStrategy has 3.4x the amount of Bitcoin than all other publicly traded companies combined. MicroStrategy has 12.5x more Bitcoin than the amount closest publicly traded company, Mara. 12.5x. MicroStrategy has 3x the amount of Bitcoin than the next closest private company, Block One. And financial strength is improving, competitive moat is growing, game theory is escalating, and bewilderment is intensifying. And he's showing his price targets associated with this. And these guys are pretty smart. I don't know if they hit all these targets, but these are smart people that I personally would listen to. Invest Answers James says, unstoppable. I need to update my sats per share model. Coming soon after DCA MSTR. Just saying that it's just getting crazy. And I've got a better one than that. Ben Workman does a better one. I really love his. So let me see. What the hell? Is this Ben? Why are there only like 2 posts here? 1 second. Something's weird with X. Let's see. Oh, where was it? Right here. Okay. So this, again, is just showing how over here, the amount of Bitcoin per diluted share is going down every quarter. And so that's like, well, here's a better way to look at it. I'm sorry, I'm reading it backwards. So that's outstanding, or that's diluted shares in the yellow down here per BTC, and outstanding shares per BTC. So the amount of shares that are out there are going down, or to put it the other way, the amount of Bitcoin per outstanding share is going up. So if you own a share of MicroStrategy, when we say it's accretive, it's because you are getting more Bitcoin per share every time they do this. It's one of the parts of the magic, okay, of many pieces. Saylor posted. What did Saylor post? Let's go back. I want to see what Saylor posted. But you guys need to understand this concept, man. Listen to these guys. True North knows what they're talking about. These people are brilliant, And you want to listen to brilliant people. The important part is that if you're not as smart as they are, that you put in all the work you can to understand why they're going to be right. And I don't pretend to be as smart as these guys. I'm just smart enough to try and figure out, are the Bears' arguments better or are the Bulls? Which ones win? 48 seconds ago, last week, MicroStrategy's treasury operations delivered a BTC yield of 3.3% for a week, providing a net benefit of approximately 13,270 BTC to shareholders, or 1,896 BTC per day at 98,000 per BTC. This equates to 1.3 billion for the week, or 186 million per day. That's fucking crazy. This company is just nuts. And again, there's so many benefits to what's going on right now. The only time you have to worry about MicroStrategy is in a bear market. Yet you want to sell it when we get to the top. But that's the same with all this stuff. Anything that gives you a leveraged higher return versus Bitcoin, you want to sell before we hit the top or when we hit it, okay? Or at the very least, the inevitable bounce after we hit the top, drop hugely, and then people that are so conditioned to buying the dip just buy it again. That's when you want to get the fuck out. Somebody added me in a comment. So many people add me in comments. Bitcoin 98,000 almost. Let's look at that real quick. We haven't rolled through charts. I do got to get to Tesla. Let's get to Tesla news first. Let's get out of MicroStrategy mode. Let's get to Tesla. Hey Jesse, is MSTX MSTU at a good point to enter? I don't know, man. I entered already. I'm down a decent amount. I'll look this morning and see how much it is. I'm guessing on average it's probably 10% or more. But we'll see. I don't know. I think it's in a good place. That's the bet I've placed, right? I'm not a prophet, so I can't tell you if it is. Jesse, any books you recommend for winter break readings, finance related, thinking of Wealth of Nations, Bitcoin Standard as of now, but was wondering if you had, I would start, honestly, Bitcoin Standard, and then I would do The Price of Tomorrow. That's kind of the sequence. I need to write something out officially. I think that's good. There's Capital Wars if you want to really understand macroeconomics a lot. You got to read Elon's book if you haven't. But then Broken Money by Lynn Alden is probably another good one to check out. Even who's that demographics guy? Oh God, he's kind of retarded about Bitcoin and a few other things, but he's really good with demographics around the world. What is his name? Does anybody know it? I've given you little data, so let me know if you know it. Just very little. All right, let's go to Tesla. Let's go to Tesla and talk about Tesla real quick. But I want you, the theme of today is, no, it's not Raoul Paul. Paul, yeah. No, it's not him. I'll figure it. It'll come to my mind eventually. All right, so let's talk Tesla though, guys. No, it's none of those guys. Nope. No, Peter though. Peter. Peter, not Schiff. Is there another Peter? Damn it. I'll get it eventually. But let's go back to Tesla, guys. Tesla, first off, beautiful. Q1 insured. Peter Zehan, thank you. Yeah, Zehan hates Trump. He's stupid about Bitcoin. He's stupid about Tesla. One of the only things he's probably good for is just demographic information around the world, and like, you know, what commodities people have, what resources, just all these types of things. It's the only time he holds value. Don't listen to him on anything else, which means you got to like forget half his work at least. But anyway, back to Tesla. So Tesla China insured had, I believe, the second or third highest number of weekly insured in the history of China, or Tesla China. And yeah, so let's look. 22,600 was the next biggest one, I think. Yeah, going back at least here, and then I don't know about previous years, but yeah, I think it's at least the third spot. So it's a great start to the week for insured vehicles for Tesla in China. Tesla Chan, love him. He's got great content. He said, when the Tesla Energy Superfactory in Shanghai is completed this month, the market will recognize it as another welcome news. It's not far away. I think that could be another catalyst for a move higher. Again, people just aren't paying attention to this. This isn't a headline that's just like sitting in front of you yet. Grok's image generator is next level. I mean, I've never wanted to look at Bill Gates this close, but there's Bill Gates in a Cybertruck, and there's Bill Gates sitting in prison. I love Grok. Keep going. Oh, yeah, guys, just in case you didn't know this, Elon Musk every once in a while gets lucky and can predict the future. Here he is as a much younger, balder man talking about what he thinks is going to happen with news media and what the internet is going to be doing in the future. Listen to this closely.
What do you see as the future of the internet?
I think the internet is the superset of all media. It is the be-all and end-all of media. One will see print, broadcast, arguably radio, essentially all media folding into the internet. And what the internet amounts to is it's the first two-way communication medium that is intelligent. It allows consumers to choose what they want to see, when they want to see it, and whether that be radio, whether that be print, whether that be television, broadcast. I think it's going to revolutionize all traditional media.
And he was 100% right. Do I read my Discord DMs? No, unless it comes from an admin. You guys got to realize I'm getting hundreds of DM messages a day from people in these groups, like hundreds directly every day. And if I spend all my time reading them, I will never be able to do what I do. I won't be able to look at things in the big picture. I won't be able to articulate them. I won't be able to digest new information. Again, I'm micro to macro. If I spend all my time in the micro,
What do you see as the future?
I won't hold any value anymore. Yeah, if it's trying to pitch me anything or sell me anything, don't bother. But if it's reach out to a Discord or tag admin wife if you want to talk about something else. And if it's administrative in any nature, they help with that kind of stuff. All right, moving on. So anyway, back to the point. Tesla, Elon Musk is a visionary, and he saw the death of news and all these other forms of media on TV and all this stuff dying. My daughter doesn't even care about TV. Everything is YouTube and content she researches or apps she plays with. They just don't care about TV. They don't sit in front of a box. They sit in front of a different box. It's just smaller. So let's keep going here, though. Herbert Wong said CFRA raised its Tesla stock price target to 450 from 375, maintained a buy rating. The adjustment reflects. Oh, let me get over here. The adjustment reflects. Oh, I can't read all this. My throat. It's gonna kill me. We're gonna let our friend. Our friend is gonna read this. Come here, buddy.
The adjustment reflects the firm's optimism about Tesla's future, particularly in the area of autonomous driving technology. According to Investing Pro data, Tesla commands a significant market capitalization of $1.24 trillion, though it trades at a premium PE ratio of 96 times. They attribute this momentum to Tesla's advancements in autonomous driving, which are seen as moving closer to realization. The recent FSD V13 released by Tesla, showcasing new capabilities such as autonomous parking at a route's end and initiating FSD from a parked state, supports CFRA's positive outlook. CFR's analysis suggests that these continuous enhancements in Tesla's autonomous driving technology could accelerate the process of obtaining a federal autonomous driving permit under the new administration. The transition team for President-elect Trump has indicated that establishing a federal framework for fully autonomous vehicles is a high priority for the Transportation Department.
Yeah, and that's going to happen. All this news is going to be just keep getting better and better and better for Tesla as the months and quarters go by. They're going to be getting approvals. You're going to be seeing them spinning up energy factories, refinement locations, semi-factories. Just everything is exploding. And these news events are going to get better, and analysts are going to chase. It's all they're good for. Analysts are good at chasing. That's all they know how to do. Stupid question, but what stops someone from stealing an autonomous vehicle? I don't know, like it letting you in. I mean, you could steal it, but do you want to? Do you want to steal a car that literally sees you, everything you did to get into the car, has amazing cameras, and then watches everything you do while you're in it? And then how do they steal it? Like, what are they doing? Are they hacking the Gibson or whatever? I'm trying to remember this old hacking movie. What are they like? Anyway, I want to move on. All right. let's see. Tezos, have you thought of exercising some of the Tesla calls you have, since you said in the past a big chunk of the profit will go to the underlying assets? I don't like to exercise options. I like to get the intrinsic value and extrinsic value. So for people who haven't seen my Option 101 video, watch it. I mean, I want to get all of it, right? Like I want to get as much premium as I possibly can. So when we move very, very rapidly, I'm cashing out of those, and then I would switch to stock. That's the game plan. All right, keep going. Son of the walkie, Elon Musk says Tesla Optimus walked up and downhill while blindfolded. So they not only have the walking video, which we'll watch in a second, but they did this with him blindfolded, which means he just has to figure out his terrain even when he can't see. He needs to figure out if he's stable and kind of operate like a normal human being would. Pretty amazing stuff. And if you haven't seen any of these videos, guys, this is it. You can see where this thing it falls, but it stabilizes itself, and it doesn't actually fall. It probably walks as good or better than I do. So, whole Mars catalog. So you're telling me that what's left of Tesla Q will be wiped out by a vehicle called Tesla Q. I think I showed this one yesterday for a little bit, but I think this is hilarious. The irony with a Tesla Model Q just fucking the Tesla Q guys. And I wanted to say this too. This is a signal. This is a bat signal. If this Tesla Model Q is real and validated, then this is a signal. If we can get confirmation from Deutsche Bank or Elon Musk, I don't know, maybe we've already got it and I missed it, but if we get confirmation that this is real, this is a signal from Elon Musk that they're going to destroy the shorts again. Just like the shorts, Elon will tell you before he's going to fuck you. He's very nice about it. He'll tell you when the stock is too high and it's overpriced. He'll tell you with red shorts that you're a little bitch and you're about to get burned. He'll do it with the releasing of a cologne that talks about you getting burned. He sends these hints. Listen to them. If this is real, these guys are getting ready to be utterly destroyed. Believe me. Roland Percher says China reported 73,490 sales and a 3% market share in November. BEV penetration reaches new record of 31.3%, and Tesla has 9.7% of the segment. And again, I showed this briefly yesterday, but it's been a rougher year for Tesla this year in China. But it's been rough for Tesla, period. I think a lot of these others were from before. Let me just refresh here and make sure I didn't have any other slides I wanted to pull up. But I'm very bullish on Tesla, guys. I thought I had more robots. That's what I probably need to do is look. If I don't have more robot footage, we're just going to pull it up. Optimus. Because there is more footage, and it's pretty great. So, oh yeah, here's one. So again, just like, look at this thing, dude. Look at this thing walking up this hill, and it's going to go down, I think, in a second, too. Yeah, look at this, going sideways. Going down the hill, trying to, like, jog a little bit down the hill, like, at a decent pace. This is amazing already, guys. Remember that stupid dog? Remember how many years it took them to get that stupid dog to stand up and be able to maneuver decently with 4 legs? This is with 2 legs, and you've got more weight up higher. And they can already do these amazing things. I'm sorry, like, there's nothing. If you just look at the foot placement here, like, look at that. Look at the way it rebalances. This robot, literally, again, it could be the gyros. It doesn't matter. The mechanics are there to make this thing great. And when it is great, it will look like this. It will cook for you. It will help the elderly. Just think about retirement communities going away or being more active where you don't have to worry about your loved ones being beat up by somebody who gets paid like $10 an hour to wipe their ass. Just think about how much better this will be for humanity. I just did a bunch of leaf work. I didn't want to do it. I did it because I had to. And I don't know. If you like walking the dog, great. But if you need a break, you'll have your robot do everything. Like, your robot does everything for you. And it's going to be used on Mars. That's one of the purposes of it. It's why Elon created it, to help humanity and to be able to use it on Mars. I thought this was brilliant. They said the robot's actually probably better than Joe Biden. So, I mean, when compared, which one does it better? I don't know. I don't know. It's tough. But here's the thing you need to know. If they can remote control these things and have them walk perfectly and have them to where they can see their surroundings and be able to communicate with people, then it's just a matter of finalizing the brain to be able to do that. And the brain will be a culmination of everything we're seeing with FSD and Grok. It'll be a merger of the two. It'll be beautiful. Grok will be the personality, and it'll be the person, the thing you interact with, and the FSD will be what looks at the world, sees it, and comprehends what it means. This is what's coming. If they can teleoperate these bitches, they're right there. They're right there with the 100,000 cluster system that Microsoft and Facebook thought couldn't be built. Believe me, they're right there. When you use Grok right now and realize how much better it's going to be, and it's only on Grok 2, and 3 is coming out at the end of the year, beginning of next, you realize they're right there. They're going to be the best AI on the planet. They are creating the best AI on the planet. And it's going to be a culmination of different things. I hope you understand. I hope you understand. And again, just looking over here, we got Little X playing with the robot back in the day. And now, oh my God, and Little X was so great. I don't know if I have him on here. Let me see. I'm going to put Elon. See if I can find this. It's funny. Yeah, right here, dude. This is so great. I love this little kid so fucking much. Elon, you have a good kid. You got a smart kid, good head on his shoulders. Just think about this. Elon Musk is the kind of person we want putting his seed all over the planet. He can go back and do it with Grimes as many times as he needs. You know, people that are working for, you know, Neuralink, whatever he wants to do. I think he had 2 pregnant women in the same hospital at the same time. All from him. I mean, he's amazing. But let's listen to Little X and what he has to say about Elon's goals.
What should I do?
Save America.
And?
Help Trump.
Okay.
Oh, I love Elon Musk so much. I love him so much. I'm sorry. But yeah, so there's a lot of great things in front of us, guys. There's a bunch more news related with Tesla that we could look at, things we could talk about. It doesn't really matter. It's all headed in the right direction. Again, I wanted people to know that, like, just because I sold out of my options, I've still got 55% of them. I've still got over $1.5 million in them. I'll see what it is as of this morning. It's a lot of money. I have not lost faith in this investment at all. I'm just trying to manage my risk to reward. I think this is the best way to do it. I've made a bunch of money off of this already. I'm already $2 million cashed in profit on this investment. And that's really good for a period of like 6 months. So I'm just again, enjoying some of that. And I'm letting the rest ride. And next target, guys, is $600. So I will not, unless there's an opportunity that's afforded from Bitcoin dropping dramatically and I want to take advantage of that, I will not be selling more Tesla. If Bitcoin's doing all right and Tesla's doing all right, I'm just going to let her ride. That's my thought process and what I'm doing. You said Google up 4% in pre-market. I guess people think that Google has invented quantum computing. Is it up that much? Let me go here. We got 7 minutes now till the bell. Nope, I gotta go pre-market. Sorry about that. Yeah, so is this because of the quantum computer? Is this really why they're up? If it is, that's just fucking sad. Let's look here. Let's see. Do people usually post this with the 4 or with the Goog or the Google? I don't know. Seismic shift in computing. Goog just commercialized the most advanced quantum chip. Did they really though? I mean, even Google, I was listening to Google talk about how they're 5+ years away from doing anything useful. So, I mean, and this is huge. What they did was great, but yeah, it's nowhere close. Just because they're doing new things and they're new milestones and they're big ones doesn't mean it's anything over the short term. I don't know how it's going to help their revenue is what I'm trying to say. Like, how is it good? How is this quantum computer that might be interesting in 5 years going to add a lot of short-term shareholder value? Can somebody tell me? Chris K says, Jesse, can you talk about your exit strategy to maximize intrinsic and extrinsic value? Yes, if the thing goes up a shit ton in a short period of time, you need to start weighing how much of that you want to hold. And if it exceeds your expectations and what you thought it was going to do, because you should visually be looking at like the options profit calculator and thinking about the different price levels, the ranges you want this investment to go in over a period of time, and know kind of your thresholds, right? So if it beats all of those and outperforms them greatly, you should be shaving off larger amounts than if it was underperforming and you still think it has a long ways to go and you see some catalysts coming in the future. It's all a balancing act. Tesla up 1% on the day. I don't know if you guys saw too how well Tesla bounced yesterday. It did a really great job. It was a rough day yesterday for Tesla, but we got our spinning top up here. And the interesting thing about the spinning top is if we expand out here, we're almost above my fib line already. And again, there could be some, I'd have to check and make sure there's no abnormality in the fib. It can always be off by a little bit. A lot of the time I like to check that. I don't know the last time I checked it, but again, it's right underneath of it. And I think what we're trying to do is we're still trying to get above and establish support up here. And I think we're going to do it. I do. I think that the markets can do better. And whether it happens this week or not, or it happens after the Fed's rate announcement next Wednesday, I don't know. But I think it's coming. Elon's Siemens giveaway. I hope he gives it away to the whole fucking world. One of the best things that Elon could do, if he ever got to a point where he had, this is super dark humor. If you don't like dark humor, just turn this off right now. But if we ever get to a point where, like, let's say Elon gets shot, something crazy happens, we need to make sure to keep him alive and see if we can milk him or like get the genetic code for that stuff to be able to to create more of him. We want a lot of Elon Musk in the world if we want a brighter future. So I think his way of giving back with having a bunch of children too is beneficial to humanity. In another way, he serves us. 5 minutes to the bell. 4 minutes to the bell. Better get to the bell. We got more to talk about. Well, I'll start trying to get to chat and milk him. I know. I said it was going to get weird. Yeah, I know. All right, let's see here. These guys will come back in a second. When they come back, as the bell tolls, I'm probably going to... Yeah, thanks, Michael. As the bell tolls, I'm probably going to go grab some more coffee. I need to get some more chai latte with honey. So I'll probably jump and do that, and then I'll get right back. We can have a further conversation for anybody who wants to have it. I got a lot more to say. Pretty much all the time. Just ask my wife. Are we logging into Ally yet? I'm trying to get into my main exchange. Jesse milking Elon. It's quite... Dude, do not put that into Grok. Do not Grok that shit. And I'm not making that into a t-shirt. I'm not going to do it. Doesn't matter how many times you ask. Oh, so who in here would... I should know better than to say stuff like this. Because you guys are great at running with it. Chai latte with honey, never heard. Oh, I throw honey in it. Honey is like a great thing. My throat gets a little bit raw. Our house is dry. It's an old house. I bought it for $102K like a long time ago. So our house is dry and old, and then and my throat isn't so great because of my stomach-related issues. And then on top of that, talking for 3 hours a day, plus all the normal talking I do is not great for my throat. So I take honey with it. Oh, let's see. Oh, I did get in. Let me see here. 3 minutes to ding ding. Ding ding ding. 2 minutes actually. 2 minutes per my clock, which is synced with something. Tesla Milker prototype. We can have how we can complete the circle of life, guys. We'll have Optimus do it. Oh God. Fuck. Fuck. Got to get my brain out of that space. I'm sorry. I brought that up. That's 100% on me. Yes, babe, I milked him, but it was for humanity. Oh, fuck. All right, so they're almost back here. You guys are killing me. Oh, here we go. All right, I'm going to get some coffee. I'll be right back. I'm going to let these guys talk.
Mad Dash, what do you got?
Be right back,
One of
guys.
the most important calls last night was not a tech call, and that was Toll Brothers, the terrific high-end builder. They put up fantastic numbers, as they always do. The numbers beat. Then, David, they gave you a bit of a wake-up call that the next quarters, there's numbers sold. Going to be disappointing. Now, I think they did say it's going to be the low point, and that really matters. But you don't want to see anything go wrong with home builders, because home builders have been that kind of thing that they've been strong. But you see deliveries for the next quarter, 1,900 to 2,100. Estimate was 2,153. So what this says to me is, listen, they're not cutting rates fast enough. This is the only example, though, that I can find where the rates aren't being cut fast enough. But you could argue that housing punches above its weight. It's 10% of the economy. They need a mortgage break, and this is what you see. So this is the real economy and its impact.
Not going to compete against that.
CNBC Real-Time Exchange and the big board. It is Alaska Air and its CEO. We're going to talk to him in the next hour at the NASDAQ. It's Transmedics Group, focusing on organ transplant therapy. Actually, pretty nice presentation by ALK about growth.
Very, very good. And if it weren't for the decibel level and the problem I have in my right ear, an infection that blew out most of my hearing, it would not bother me one bit. I do think that this is, the airlines have been great. Really positive piece about American Airlines today. And the group has been a winner. United is up huge. It's one of the best performing stocks of the year. I think people are saying maybe these aren't a trade. Maybe they are investments. Against that would be the fact that Boeing's restarting. The main reason why these have been investments is they don't have a lot of capacity. Maybe Boeing brings along the capacity, but there is a level of discipline that I have never seen in my career by the CEOs of the airlines, not unlike, David, the CEOs of the oil companies.
Well, I didn't really hear anything you said, so I apologize.
okay.
But you ended on the oil companies, so where would you like to go?
Well, I just say that when CEOs decide to have discipline and not drill as much or not buy as many planes, you start getting terrific returns for the shareholders. And a lot of people would say that that's not been the case, but it is. You finally got great movement in the oils. When
Yes,
they said,
when they actually started to return capital as opposed to
these
deploy
guys,
it in
when
the
they
ground.
couldn't get planes, they were forced
All
to
right,
be
what'd
able
I
to say,
miss?
hey, no more capacity. I remember an interview with Phil
Send the
LeBeau,
milking
where
job
actually
to
there's a couple of interviews where they said, listen, we're actually going to show some discipline. And I laughed. They don't know how to show discipline if the life depended on it.
All right, did we get the bell? We got the bell.
This
We
is
ding ding. We ding ding. Let's get over. Oh, all right. Normally, markets do really good when a president takes office in their first term. Second term, not so much, because a lot of the time, well, I mean, it depends if they have a mandate too. So if a president has a mandate and it's their first term, or in his case, it's kind of like his first term because he's not continuing on. It's not like he's a lame duck president. He's starting fresh with a new mandate. So if you're really popular, it goes up. It goes up a lot. It goes up a lot. Just got here and looking at chat. Hi, Ryan. Welcome. Sorry, man. We got off topic. It wasn't my fault, though. It was Sealess. Is Sealess in here today? It was definitely Sealess. If it wasn't Sealess, it was Mop or Cloudy or Sidecar Guy. It was somebody else. It wasn't me. All right, Google up. MSTX and MSTU up, but they got butchered yesterday. I don't even know what it was down. I didn't really pay attention, honestly. But I think it was a lot. I think it was down like 15% for, 15 or something like that, maybe 20. I don't even know. Micro to macro to milking. Oh, my God. That's a shirt. Can we have MicroStrategy rip today? That would be nice. I'll talk to somebody. We'll see what we can do. I'll message Sailor. I think he's following me now. I'm kidding. I don't think he is. Anyway, let's go So BITX is up because, again, Bitcoin's starting to go up. We like that. What are we at right now? Let me take a look in the bottom corner. 77.8, just kind of hanging out. We'll see if we bounce. We could go lower, guys. If we go lower, I'm leaning in. You know my thoughts. Needs 55. Thoughts on Anduril possibly doing an IPO. Not sure if you discussed already. I'd have to look and see what the valuation should really be for it. There's a lot of people that will do a bunch of great research, I'm sure. I love Anduril, and I'd want to support them. But I'd also want to, it'd be great if I could get a good deal. I think things are going to be, if it happens soon, it's probably going to be super overhyped, though. That's my worry because, I mean, just look at what's happening with Palantir. Look at how good they've done. And if Palantir does keep going up after 80, I don't know. I don't know how that can't be overhyped for Anduril. You know what I mean? Because everybody will be looking for the next Palantir. And that maybe could steal steam from them. I don't know. I don't know how quickly it's going to happen. Does anybody know the time frame? Micro to macro with a glass of milk in the background. Oh, you guys. Young investor, craziest anime crossover of all time. I can't even fucking read the comments. Gonzalo Oliveira. Jesse, there is best book to understand options better. I've watched your video, but need more. I learned options from like trial and error and probably YouTube. I don't even remember who I used to watch. It was a long time ago. So I don't have anything, unfortunately. If I did, I would definitely give it to you. If anybody else has a good recommendation, though, throw it out. For anybody who might know me well and know the way I trade, throw it out there. I don't mind you advertising other people that do a great job. Bento, Jess, what is your MSTX average? I don't know. I should probably try and quantify that. I'll do that with MSTX and MSTU. I still need to update the portfolio allocation. I just realized that it had been 2 weeks, which is a long time. Again, I don't love maintenance work. It's a good thing I've got Matthew and admin wife and other people to help me because I hate that kind of stuff. I was a project manager. The last thing I want to do is have a task list. I just don't. I don't. So I struggle. I gotta automate everything if I can and get other people to do it. All right, let's see here. The lion's share says, if we go lower, I may sell some of my Palantir position in DCA into MSTR, MSTU, and MSTX. I think a lot of people are probably going to think that same way. Yeah. Cape, SoundHound AI, what they do. I don't know. I don't have a really good impression of them. I haven't really looked at them. If you have a specific question, let me know. Last I looked, they didn't really have good income, and I don't know if their valuation was justified. At least that's what I remember. Justin, I was thinking a shirt with Elon's laughing or smiling face, and then just to the right of it, a glass. Killing of you guys in the fucking. Oh, you guys are awesome. Gregory, isn't quantum computing a threat to NVIDIA? Theoretically, but I mean, I'm pretty sure NVIDIA is trying to do similar things. And I don't know, even with quantum computing, I don't know if quantum computing would do like the training and the things that the NVIDIA chips do. It could be a brain, but I don't know. I don't know enough about. We're on the cutting edge of so much of that. Once quantum computing becomes valuable, we'll have a better idea of who it's the bigger threat. Or again, we'll find some really brilliant people that'll let us know ahead of time. If anybody has them, let us throw it out in chat. Jesse Kraniak, use ChatGPT and just keep asking it questions. It knows all the strategies. Yeah, you know what I want to do? Eventually, I want to have an LLM of me, and then then I can just have. If you guys have questions, you can just talk to it, because it'll answer questions that just the way I would. You know what I mean? So, oh God, that'll be great. That'll be so great. I won't be customer service. I used to work in customer service for well over a decade of my life, like 15 years or something. I don't know. It's a long time. I hate it. I hate it. Training, customer service, fuck all that shit. Tech support, fuck that too. Young investor, Portnoy, hanging with Sailor. That was a really good interview. I think it got a lot of like jock type people. Sailor's great with analogies. He can help. He can do a really great job. And with totally different people, he can make them see the light. And I think he's really good at that. I think he's way better than the Gemini brothers, the Winklevosses. Let's see here. Wanda Shakna, I'm so bummed I missed out on Reddit. Ugh. God, I hate that one. MB, people get obsessed with options while Jesse's style is closer to a value investor on a shorter time frame than a trader. Yeah, yeah, that's probably true. Trading short dated options for me is just a great way to lose money. There was a stat. It was on. I don't remember who it was, but I think it was. I don't know. Maybe it was Marty Party. Maybe it was the other guy that sounds like he's Austrian. It was on that group that Invest Answers has. And they were talking about options trading and leverage, and they were talking about how like the levels you get liquidated at, and people that do 100x leverage, they get liquidated at like 99.9%, and then people that do like 50x leverage get liquidated at like 80%, and the numbers get a lot better, like between 3 and 5%. I think it was Marty Party, 3 to 5%. That's where you get like the 80% numbers, where 80% or better, where of your chance of success. And no, Austrian, not Australian. Dan. But yeah, but anyway, so I don't know what I was talking about, but the whole like it's one of those things where understanding option strategies is really important, and understanding where you can make money is really important. And I think too much use of leverage or the other way of looking at that, such a short dated time frame is dangerous in options. You don't want to be short. You want to give yourself time, guys. Time is the hardest part of figuring out where your money's going. Understanding what direction it's going in is really important. Understanding its rough velocity and how it might speed up or slow down to get there. And then you got to give yourself time to be wrong for a little bit. PayPal, great example of last year of me losing, $250,000 because I didn't do a good job understanding time frame. Even though I gave myself 2 years, I still fucked it up. I think I gave myself 1.5 years, but whatever. It's still, we could still get there. If PayPal just gets to 150 between now and the end of the year, I'll be set. Anyway, MKBG, $2.79. Morning, sir. Bought 50 calls of DLO this morning. I hope they treat you well. I haven't looked at DLO this morning. We probably look through this list. Let's see where we're sitting on stuff. Google's still near 5%. MSTX and MSTU kind of hanging out. Tesla up 2.33. SoFi. I still think SoFi is a good deal. I know it got some downgrades, but I think it's gonna bounce. We'll see. I still think it can go higher. I still think it could go to 20. MicroStrategy Incorporated up 2%. Again, these assets are not tracking to the 4%. They will, though, and then they'll have a compounding effect. So even though you have horrible tracking on them, I think when you get violence to the upside, it will be offset by the horrible tracking. That's my thought, at least. So we'll see how right I am. I probably shouldn't put $1.5 million into stuff without testing that theory first. Oh, well. All right, let's keep going. Hood. 2% on the day. NVIDIA up 1.4, making up for some losses from the other day. Riot up 1.3. Meta up 1.15. Meta just, talk about steady eddies. This thing just keeps going up. Mara's up on the day. Yay. CleanSpark's up on the day. Hey, cool. Maybe these things could start making money soon. I think if we establish this base at 100 and start taking off, I think they're going to do that. The longer we sit at 100, the more people are going to realize that it's time to get into miners. Believe me. Callie, thank you for joining. All right. D-Locals down 1.15%. Let's actually look at a few different things. We didn't really go through all the other stuff. Let's go through the dollar real quick. So the dollar up 0.2%. Testing back up. I think it's going to roll over, though. I think it's going to roll over. We'll see if it does. There's two ways that we'd go about that. Either one, I'd like to do it soon, or two, right up here, we need to do it by 107, and then see some immediate rejection. Otherwise, if we don't see it quickly, then there's a chance that we could end up going higher. So when we get if we get up to here, which I don't think we will, we want to get rejected off that fairly quickly. Otherwise, the dollar's going higher. So, or at least testing higher, testing above this level to see how far I can get. It's always the mechanics behind price movement is always so complicated because it just involves so many different things. Kyle said, Jesse, did you try any of the stomach stuff that was suggested in the comments? Also, I've got stuff troubles. I'm curious. So the thing I've tried the most, and this is not going to be super helpful for some people, is don't eat all the fucking time. Don't eat at night. And lately, especially, I've been eating healthier foods that more align with like what they tell you should eat. And then I've been drinking something called Super Gut, and I take 2 big glasses of that a day, and they reduce my appetite quite a bit. So I'm being more active at night. So it's kind of hard work. And then I think Super Gut is beneficial. I hope that helps at all. But that's what's worked for me the best. And there are other things too, like olive oil is a great lubricant for your esophagus, and it can help too with some of the like inflammation and other things that you might have problems with. I've actually lowered. If this house wasn't so dry, I think my throat would feel a lot better. But I've lowered the amount of antacid stuff I've been taking over the last like week plus. I've probably taken like what I would have taken in one day, in a week, heading on a week and a half. And I'm getting to the point to where I'm not using anything. So I love Super Gut. If there's any like advertisement thing I did or promotional thing in the future, probably something like that, because I believe in it and it's helping me. I don't know if it helps everybody, but I think it's really making a difference. It's at least getting me over the hump of getting off the antacids. I think those are horrible. What's your thoughts on MSTY? I don't know. I don't think it's that good of a return. I looked at the multiples, and it seems like you should just own MicroStrategy, and you'd get better performance than MSTY would give you for grinding sideways. So I don't think it's a great engine, personally. But if somebody has an opposing argument to that, and I'm just being retarded, let me know. But I don't think it's great. I would much rather have MicroStrategy or MSTX or MSTU. Or in the future, I don't know. I still have to check out the IBIT options market and really put some time into that. I just haven't done it. Again, I hate lists. So every time I give myself one, I don't want to do it. But I'll try and get better at that. But yeah, so we'll see. I've got to check out all these things and kind of figure out which one I love the most and figure out what my tools are going to be going forward. I do first principles, trial and error, learn about something, get a vested interest in it. Figure it out, study it really hard, learn as much as possible, figure out if there's any affiliated things that I need to learn along the way, and make sure I'm keeping track of the big picture, and then just keep going. It's kind of my thesis for investing in life. Let's see here. So yeah, dollar, a little bit of strength. Let's go through the Japanese yen against, so again, kind of settling a little bit higher. We don't want to see this thing breaking out come next Wednesday when the Japanese yen and the Fed decide the rate or the future of their rates. We definitely don't want to see this spiking. That would probably temporarily bring markets down. I don't think it's going to. If my understanding of this leveraged trade is, I think we're going to be okay. And I think, again, they have tools that they're using. But I'm an optimist. It's why I make so much money. So I could be wrong, and it could end up going down over the short term. Because optimists can be wrong over the short term, but if they're intelligent and do their research, they'll be right over the long. And I think I've somewhat fit into that category. Anyway, Chinese yuan. Oh, we got the autumn scene. I feel so folly. All right, Chinese yuan, down. So the dollar is down against the yuan because, again, there's talk of doing things that are good, but no action whatsoever. And BABA's actually down today, last I checked, because of that, because of the lack of action. The MOVE index, the bond volatility index, is getting a little bit of a bounce. But again, I just want to say this tweezer top was violent. I think we're still going lower. And again, even if it happens, the consolidation is probably going to take a year plus, at least. It's just how the history of all of these work. They take years. It's how the bond market works. It's usually not a really fast mechanism. It's only recently where it's been incredibly violent. It's not normal. Let's check the 2-year. 0.29%. So it's trying to creep back above this line again. We'll see if it can do it. I think it'll get rejected. I think we're going lower. But let's look at let's do this. We'll look at the inversion, and then we'll look at the 10-year too and see if it's tracking the same. Still on inverted. Got to remember the difference. 10-year. Nope, that's too many. 10. Okay. Hey, Jesse, a Captain Obvious question. With June 2026 calls, 330 calls, do we just wait until expiration to buy if we believe it keeps rocketing up? So you'll lose the extrinsic value, which is basically additional value that you get in the premium for the amount of time that you have left. So if you hold and exercise them, first off, you better make sure that you have all the money you need to be able to exercise them. But when you exercise them, because one contract is 100 shares, right? You end up only having intrinsic value, because intrinsic value is what the actual difference is between what your contracted price was and what you paid for it, right? So you get that difference. That's intrinsic value. But extrinsic is all the time premium, the additional amount people are paying for time to be right to get that strike. It's the thing that I think people don't think about enough. I like to enjoy as much of that premium as possible, because you could have a crazy lift, and then it's like, okay, what are the probabilities of us going a lot higher? Are we really overbought? Is the entire market overbought? Are we looking for corrections in broader markets? Just a lot of things that you have to include, where it's like, okay, maybe I should take some off the table for this, because I've done really, really well in a very, very short amount of time, way early into my thesis. Again, 330 strikes sounded really crazy at $150 a share. Everybody was mocking me. But I bought them, and it's done it in a very short period of time, like a half a year. So it's like when you've done that well in a half a year for a cap that large, and with the multiplier that it was giving me for the versus the underlying asset, you kind of roll with it and cash a little bit out. But again, there's like, you got to include a lot of different things in your thought process when you're buying and selling. You got to look at it from all avenues. I just have enough experience where I think I can do that at a decent level. Anyway, Tesla. Somebody said Tesla. Alex Garcia screamed it. Thoughts on SMCI stock, good or bad? Meet Kevin, got some holding to 87. I think SMCI could do all right. I probably need to look at it more in depth. Wanjing Boog, I don't know if I get the last name right. Hey, Jesse, can you elaborate on why you think people in BTC and alts might sell too early this cycle? I think a lot of people will. You can kind of see it. You can see retail. Retail doesn't have that same level of conviction a lot of the times. And so they're just getting, my relatives who normally don't talk to me about Bitcoin except for like near the top of a Bitcoin cycle, or this is kind of like the first intro to the conversations with them. It's the people where they'll be like, oh, should I do this? And then you'll tell them, yeah, this is what I would do, and not financial advice. And then they won't do it. And then like 6 months from now, they'll come back and they'll be ready to execute. And but they're the people that are selling now that we got to 100. They're like, oh my God, guys, there's going to be a generational buying opportunity at 20,000 or 24,000. I forget what. There's some people that just have some crazy fucking ideas. 20,000, 40,000, 60,000. You're all nuts. You're all nuts. You're fucking crazy. It's not happening. And you're literally saying that this is going to be completely different than every other cycle for Bitcoin. Just because I just thought it should be. I don't know. I think that's pretty lame, and I don't think it's accurate. And ooh, that looks better. But yeah, I think I think Bitcoin's going up a lot. But anyway, looking at the 10-year, we can see that it's trending underneath its trend. We're seeing lower highs, right? We're seeing a lower low. And we're looking to potentially drop underneath all these moving averages now. And we're just testing whether or not we can stay above it. I think we're dropping, even though we have a nice little pop. I think it's dropping, and I think it's going to do it quickly. I think eventually, maybe it's this next rate cut where the bond vigilantes just give up and realize that rates are going to come down for bonds and start buying. I don't know. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Maybe I'm too early, but I think that's going to happen. What else we got here? Yeah, Portnoy loved the Cyber Manhattan real estate analogy. It resonated well with real estate people. Yeah, he did a sport team one too, talking about like Michael Jordan and how if you could have Michael Jordan and you got a certain percentage based upon how great he was doing, how well you would benefit from it. And I think that was a good analogy too. I think the real estate and that are great. Freedom Options. Jesse, I'm up 5x on Tesla 330s from your fishing lessons. That's awesome, dude. Hopefully you've been taking some profits too. And if not, that's cool. Just again, I don't know. I like to take them on the way up. They're a lot more fun to take on the way up. On the way down after doing really well, they're less fun. They're a lot less fun. Man Mahindra, JP Morgan just upgraded mini miners. Hey, hey, hey. BitConnect? Sorry. That's awesome. Good to hear. Ruralism, Jesse, LLM, a serious possibility with all these hours of videos. Yeah, dude, you could literally LLM me. If I die, I'm just saying, I've told my wife already, I would like to be recreated as an LLM, and that way if she has any questions, she can ask me, and then she can keep me turned on for as long as she wants. Worst case, she could keep the channel open and continue to have revenue. So we're going to make that happen. Jesse 2.0. Smarter. Less ability to die. MKBG. Super chat. Oh, that was that. Wow, I was way back there. Bain said Ben Workman posted that MicroStrategy's previous bonds will be convertible after today. Any idea on how much dilution? See, it doesn't really work that way. In one of the videos that I posted today, not the Jeff Park one, but the other one, or maybe it was Jeff. I don't know. It's one of them. Again, it's like hours of content between the two, but it doesn't work that way. The bonds. The incentive for the bond holders is to hold and hold and hold, and MicroStrategy has a bunch of different ways to be able to maintain. And again, just in the bull market, it doesn't fucking matter at all, because in the bull market, which we are very much still in, we're just getting started with the hyperbolic part. They just issue more convertible bond debt, and then it raises the bar for all of it. It's the only real time you have to worry about this is during the unwind in the bear market. And again, MicroStrategy will be one that tops probably before Bitcoin, but Bitcoin is nowhere close to topping. If you got scared, get scared at 150. Do not fucking get scared here. And 150 is too low. It's probably like 180 to 280. Swedish CTO Larson. Dan is the man. Tapping on a 400 again. Yeah, dude, what are we doing over there? I need to look. Let's get back to Tesla. Tesla up 2.74%. I love this company so much. I should have waited till today. Oh well. Hindsight is always 2020. But yeah, look how this company is going to do great, guys. We're just going to keep going up. What do I even have in Tesla right now? Even with all the picking money off to pay bills and to buy crypto and MicroStrategy and all this stuff, what am I sitting at? $1.7 million. $1.7 million. That's what I'm sitting at. So even with my original cost basis just on the contracts left is 461,000, and I've got 1.7 million. These are good times. This is a good couple of quarters right here for one of my investments, and the rest are going to do good too. Probably shouldn't do all that, but yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be good times. Yeah, where are all the rest of these? Let's go through the rest of the list. So Bitcoin doing all right, I think. Let's look here. Oh, there we go. Bitcoin getting a little meh. I mean, it's bouncy, but I don't know. I think it's actually pretty bouncy when you look at these wicks and the fact that it's maintaining this line. I think it's more likely to curve up and go up in the days ahead. Maybe it takes until next Wednesday. But any weakness, especially under, if we test down again to 91, that would be a buy zone for me. And then again, back into the 80s. If you look at the 2 hour, especially, this is a good way to look at it. So that would be a buy to me right at this fib. And then also down here around the 86. And if it didn't happen quick enough, if we couldn't drop here fast enough, then I might nibble a little bit higher, but probably 86. And then the next big area is in the 70s for a volume shelf. And I think that would stop us for sure. But I would eat that shit up. If we bounce that far, let's look at what percentage that is. That might be overstretching it. But so if we just get down to here, we're down 18%. Let's go down further, though. So I don't think it's crazy to believe that a 25% drop is possible on something that just went up, more than 50. But I doubt it. I just doubt it. But again, we want to make sure that you're aware of all possibilities. Sold some of my TSLL today, up 100% on it. Sold 40%. Cool, man. Again, it doesn't never hurts to take profits. Just make sure that you understand your targets and kind of where you're at. PayPal. PayPal down 0.76%. I don't know. I think we're reaching the bottom. If you look over here at the volume profile, especially when you stretch it out over here, this is great. We really don't have much to worry about until 100. And we have another gap right here. We have another gap here. We have another gap here. We have a massive one here and another one up here. So there's a lot. The gaps are what are going to help expedite the upside price action. I don't know if people realize that, but the harder and steeper something falls, the more violent the up thrust will be if it has a reason to go back up. And we looked at PayPal yesterday and talked over some of that on why there are reasons for this thing to go back up and how far it can go up. And I basically said I think there's another 30% to 150% upside between now and the next year, and that would serve you really well. JP Morgan upgrades Clean Spark. Gotta love it. Let's look at that real quick. So how are they doing when we just look at miners? I need to update my miner list. I need to get these published. Blah, 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 blah. All right. So even though they got an upgrade, not seeing it really reflecting in the stock. I mean, it's not getting shorted. You would think that a JP Morgan upgrade would make shorts want to close sooner. That's what I would think. Interesting, though, how CleanSpark is actually maintaining all right, and Iron is doing worse because everybody was jumping from CleanSpark to Iron. It shows that when you emotionally make changes in your investment strategy, sometimes they don't work out great. And again, I own both. I'm just saying. But yeah, let's keep going. So PayPal looks like, to me, I think it's going to bounce soon. I think the fundamentals behind that one are great, and I think there's a lot of upside sitting in front of us. Hood just got upgrades too. I think Amit was posting those. So I could see Hood testing the 44 level. I think some of the upgrades actually went at least that high. I think Hood's going to have a strong narrative to test its all-time high. I think it's got a strong narrative to test 80. Xiaomi YU7 looks nice. I think it'll help Tesla as well. Users will have the choice between Juniper and this. The pair is killer. Yeah, it's just that car is shit in comparison. It's more expensive, doesn't have the same manufacturing expertise, and it won't be able to drive itself, not the way Tesla can. It's just not. China's better than the US and like outside of Tesla with its cars, but they're all failing compared to Tesla, all of them. Jason Hines, hey Jesse, given the fact that Tesla Robotaxi is going to overtake the world, do you have an opinion about buying puts for Uber? No, I wouldn't. And the only reason is you're super late. If you look at the return on the puts, using again the Option 101 video where I talk through like how options work or how I play them, you'll see that the return is not asymmetric. It's not beneficial. And I like asymmetric. I want like 3x versus my capital for a downside move. So if something's going down 30%, I'd like to double or make a doubling of my money. That's what I'm looking for usually. And sometimes I'll accept less insurance, but you want a higher multiple because it means it's going to be greater insurance. With Leslie Picker, with regards to your coming LLM, please make sure it rants as strong. We'll have probably like Tars from Interstellar, or Lars from Interstellar. What was his name? Tars? I think it's Tars. Were there two of them? No, there were two. Anyway, we'll probably have like a setting, just like Grok has, like a funny mode. That's the way to do it. All right, so Hood, we're optimistic on Hood. I think it could still go higher. I don't know. It could, but at the same note too, on the weekly, guys, we're at the highest levels, the RSI has ever seen. So take that for what it's worth too. SoFi, we kind of looked at. It's already showing resilience today. It just had a bunch of downgrades yesterday. I think this looks bullish. I think it looks good. We'll see how it closes. But if it closed anything like that, I'd be bullish. Square. I haven't looked at Square in a while. 0.54%. Again, it's just kind of, I feel like, guys, we got to kill this one because we're just past it. But this is kind of step laddering higher. And it looks beautiful. Square's a good bet, in my opinion. I haven't listened to Jack Dorsey talking at Bitcoin Mina. I wonder what he's been saying. I need to check out that event, see if there's an online version where I can tap into it and look at videos. I should actually really do that. I definitely should. But yeah, this looks good. I think another 20% upside until we start hitting any real resistance on that. Palantir. I haven't looked at this one in a while, but I got it on here. Bouncing really strongly off of yesterday. Let's see if it can hold into close. And people correcting me on the length of my lines. That's funny. I love to see how some people draw these, saying that we're already above the fib. I thought that was humorous. But yeah, I'm still seeing a rejection, but we'll see, man. This thing's in parabola phase. Technically, this isn't straight up. This would be straight up. So we'll see. I don't know. I still wouldn't short Palantir. I said that to people yesterday. I just can't. I don't know. I have this thing against shorting good companies. I'd rather short a shit company in a really overbought market than short like a Palantir. I think that is a dangerous short. You're probably not going to get a lot of time to make your money on that one. Archie still needs to get to its breakout zone. Really looking for 28. 28, once we get above 28, 29, once we really get above 31, 76, then it's just game on. Then you're up in the curve, just like PayPal is right now. Kyle said PayPal sent out an email this morning offering customers direct deposit with 2 days early access to funds. That's smart. That sounds a little bit like what SoFi does. Maybe not as good. I can't remember. I thought they did a week for SoFi or 5 days or something. Anyway, let's see what Flux is doing. Does Flux suck, or is it getting any better? I don't know. I still think it's in the suck category. Asking myself why I made a video about it over here. I think or was it? It might have been here. I don't know. Either way, it's down. So, yeah, kind of did the opposite of what I was hoping for. As you can see, it just went. Pew. So I got that one wrong. All right, let's keep going here. Bitcoin looks like it's still maintaining 97.8. It's pretty good. Getting a little bouncy on MicroStrategy. I don't know. We'll see where it lands. If we start to roll over, we're going to do it soon. And I should probably have this up too. But yeah, so we're in danger of like a flux type thing where we could still break down. And again, you could totally argue shoulder, head, shoulder. But it's the underlying that's going to matter the most on this one. And that is Bitcoin. Always go back to the underlying asset. That's what you want to pay attention to. And I would argue that Bitcoin still has some spring in its step at the right time. Because again, ideally, and we can draw this out a little bit different. We should probably draw this just to be really accurate of where the breakdown is. We're going to be more like this, right? So technically, we just bounced from all levels here. We bounced off of this. We bounced off of this. We went underneath of it and wicked, had that moment of testing down, and then we got bought up really good, and now we're headed up. If we break above like 98.8 and can establish some kind of base here and get above that peak volume, I think it's game on. Need to do it, but I think it is. Knocking on 400. I think we already did. Must be late in the chat. On the South America play, Brazil looking better. Thoughts on EWZ? Why is Brazil looking better? You mean better than ARGT? If you could clarify that, that would be cool. Rumi, Jesse, will you please see AMD? Yeah, we've heard a lot of talk about AMD, right? Who's buying AMD right now, guys? I know I've seen articles about it. Definitely some brokers trying to pitch it, it seems like. Let's see how it's doing over here. So still breaking down. Ouch. What's the news? What do you oh, shoot. That one is not locked, and I just moved it. All right, so let me make sure I get this right. It's pretty close. Let's make sure. Sorry, I want to make sure I lock this right. I want to get as close as possible. Nothing worse than being off with your fibs. All right. Okay, so let's get over here. So yeah, cascading down, breaking underneath the .618 again. Tried to find support off of it. If you look over here, lower high, lower high, lower high. Couldn't even get it up. Super low high. I mean, just cascading. Really, we've been cascading downwards since it tried to test up here at the .786. And again, if I adjust the lines, this might line up a little bit better. It looks a little off. But you can still see down here. Yeah, this is probably a little off. But you can see like down in this area where, again, we just rejected. We couldn't get it up. We're dropping down. We've got some volume underneath of us. But arguably, this is kind of sucked. This is a pretty bad downward trend. Now, again, there's a lot of volume. If you go back in AMD, this is what protects it right here. This. It's going to be a hell of a glove. So just from a technical standpoint, every little bit here that you go down, it's going to be harder to get even any lower. And then again, there's not a lot of space in here before you hit another huge shelf at 86. There's just a lot of support underneath AMD starting right now. And it just grows all the way down, like substantially all the way down to like 114. Look at that wick. So I think there's going to be downside protection from a technical level for AMD. Tesla is up what? 4.45? Awesome. Let's take a look. So what am I at now? Let me see here. 4.5. That's insane. What are we at? It says 1.71, but it might not have updated. I can't really tell if it's ticking along. Well, it does say up 7. No, but it hasn't updated Tesla's price. So it's probably closer to 1.8 now. That's awesome. That is really, really cool. I love it. So this is beautiful, guys. We hit a wall, and then we broke right through it. We'll see if it can hold. There's a chance we could consolidate here. But there's also a chance it doesn't. EC, $1. Thank you very much. I don't see a request on there, but thank you for that. Jason Kiner, Jesse, when you refer to multiple areas of support, volume shelves, trend lines, moving averages, fib lines, is there a hierarchy to these which offer more or less support? I think there's a multiplier behind them lining up, right? Like if all of them are facing in a bullish direction, that increases the probability that you're going to be right. Especially if fundamentals of the company line up, if the macro lines up. $10. Thanks, EC. Just moving them up. Thank you very much, man. Appreciate it. Let me know if you want something too. Yeah, so you have these multipliers that all help. And then when if the macro lines up with that, and if the fundamentals of the company, and then the financial statements, and then all the technicals that we're talking about, like you raise and lower your bar of conviction based upon all these different weights. And they do have, I don't know if there's a set hierarchy of them in my mind. It's more like a feeling. It's hard to convey. I quantify a lot of things, and it gives me a level of conviction that I don't necessarily, I have to think about it, what the number would be, but I instinctually have it. I don't know. That's like the only way I can describe it. It's probably not helpful, but that's it. EC, good morning. Can you briefly summarize why XRP is a dead coin? There's a thesis among smart people in this space saying, so when it was originally launched, the idea was to take over banking. Yeah, but it literally, it was kind of more the banker's coin. It just, all it does is help facilitate transactions a little bit quicker for them. It might not be a dead coin. It's been a dead coin in regard to price action. So let me just hop over to it real quick and I'll talk to it. So, and let's see how it's done. It's probably, I don't know, it might have gotten brutalized. Let's see what the bounce looks like. So I called a top right over here and pissed off a lot of XRP people. A lot. And again, it doesn't have to be the top for this cycle, but I do think it's going to underperform a lot of other things, including Bitcoin. But after I called the top, it dropped 30%. And again, there's probably a lot of shit coins that fit into this demographic, so I don't want to shit on this one too much out of all of them. But I do want to speak to something. This coin, outside of 2017, which is when I entered the market, and everybody, all the bag holders, I know these bag holders, right? These were my people. We hung out together. But they've got their bags from over here in 2017, and they wrote, and some of them they bought in like up here, right? Like they bought in at levels that were near. So they let, from 2017 to now, they let themselves make nothing. Nothing, really, if you think about it, because if they bought in, let's say they bought here with all this volume, look at the volume here. Let's say they bought here with all the volume, they were at 33 cents, then they're better, right? But what if they bought with the volume from here to here, where it is 46 to 60 cents? If you compare this return over that time frame from 2017 to what Bitcoin has done, it's laughable, especially for a shitcoin that's supposed to give you a greater return. And this is right at the peak. And we could see the peak over here that was crushing. We could see the peak over here and then just the degradation that continued. And what I'm arguing is this thing I don't think goes much higher. Could it get up to $5? Sure. But that's not going to outperform Bitcoin, I don't think. I think Bitcoin can do that too, right? Or maybe it's the same as Bitcoin, but why not just own Bitcoin? So I don't love XRP. I don't love the fact that it's down a decent chunk from where it started today, down 26% from the top. It's kind of shitcoiny of it. It's $124 billion market cap. What is MSTR? So XRP has how much Bitcoin? Can you guys tell me? Can somebody give me a number on that? And what is MicroStrategy's market cap again? So MicroStrategy has a market cap of about 83 billion, and they have what? They're pushing towards 500,000 Bitcoin. They're in the 400,000s for Bitcoin holdings. And this shitty fucking bankers coin over here with all these bag holders from 2017 is worth 50% more than MicroStrategy. Make it make sense. Which one of these two do you want to own? I'll tell you which one I want to own. It's not XRP. Mucho. Check out Yaman's latest Tesla post on X talking about medium-term price target of 200. That guy's such a fucking idiot. He is I hope he bought some of those red short shorts, because that's the kind of body you want to put those on, because that guy is a little bitch. He's just going to get fucked royally. Sorry for my French, but you just got to be a moron to be short Tesla. You got to be a moron. If that guy wasn't trolling, he destroyed his investment career as any kind of influencer and went from $240 a subscription on X to $5 or $4, whatever he went down to. So now he's a sale. You guys can get him for nothing because that's what his input's worth. Heather L, how will the Nasdaq 100 affect MSTR price? Sell the news? Oh no, it'd be massive. It would be if when we found out about it, it would be a massive buy the news event. It might turn into a sell the news event after incorporation into it because of the volatility associated with it, but it also could just go up for a little bit before it retraced. But it could be a sell the news event. The day it happens is probably a sell the news event. But there's actual inflows with ETFs that are impactful in a very positive way, Heather. Very positive way. So you would get some huge inflows. Tesla got huge inflows with the QQQ too. It was only after the announcement was, or after they went live, that they saw a short-term pullback, and then they just kept going higher. I think it was that was like right in between their big phases. They had one more leap up before the markets cracked, I think, if I remember correctly. John Nigerian, hey Jesse, can you look at ETH chart? I'll look at ETH. I don't look at ETH. I never look at the, I always look at the underlying asset, but I can look at Ethereum and tell you what I think. And what time is it? 9:17. I might end in a little bit, guys. I'm trying to keep these things down to 2.5 hours. Just too much content for me. And again, my throat hurts. And it's more important that I understand where the rest of the world is headed and going. So Ethereum, I think Ethereum had a nice little retrace. It's hitting a little volume shelf over here. I think Ethereum still has a 74% increase in the not too distant future. Maybe months, 1 or 2 quarters at most, probably 1 quarter. And then I think just kind of similar to Bitcoin strategy, I think we could see 181% in it too. You got to realize this is a much lower cap than Bitcoin. This is a $440 billion cap. And if we pull up Bitcoin over here, it's a little bit bigger at 1.93 trillion. So I do think Ethereum doesn't get much beyond that, though, this cycle. That's my thought. I know Carlos, one of the finance junkies, owns a bunch of it, or owns some of it. I shouldn't say a bunch. I don't know. But I don't think it's going to do great. I still think Solana outperforms. Solana has an amazing consolidation, guys. Solana is like what you want to see. There's probably some others that are like that too. Some shit coins that are kind of interesting. But Solana is what you want to see. This is so beautiful right here. First off, we didn't even make it back to here. So what that tells me is we need to go to the wick. And even if I go to the wick, we didn't touch it. So even with this recent decent drop, Solana hasn't went down that far. And again, could it hit this and then drop underneath and grind a little bit and hit some volumes down here or even here if we had a major drop in Bitcoin? Yes, but it would be for minutes at most. It wouldn't be like a lot of time for you to be able to act on that. So if you didn't have your limit orders in, you wouldn't even get it. So again, I still have the faith within the Bitcoin and crypto market that it is safer to be in the market over the next 2 months to 3 months than out of it. And I will not, that thesis I don't see changing anytime soon. Do you think we could look at Sol? We just did. Boom. Rob Jarvis, what about Galaxy deal on Solana? 20% unlocked in March of 2025. I mean, that'll be an unlock period, and people will probably take advantage of that, especially if it goes up a lot. Or if Solana doesn't go up enough, but I think it'll go up a decent amount, then it would just be an actual event where after the unlock, if people weren't selling out, then we'd see some kind of consolidation and going up. But I think Solana's still going to, I think it beats it this cycle. It's the platform where everybody's on it. Everybody's on it. And maybe if you guys can convince me that I'm wrong, do so. RGTI, I'm probably not going to look at another stock right now. I am Grok, but I'll try and do more of that here on one of these shows. Stephen Toro, we need to know about Microsoft BTC vote. Yeah, that's going to be coming. I don't think that's going to mean anything. I don't think it goes anywhere, but we'll see. If anybody gets any news, let me know. If I'm missing anything. Popeyes is good food. What? You need to follow Nick Gut Health on X. He's awesome. I think I did follow him, actually. Thank you. Also, kefir after every meal. Yeah, that's something I should try. I should try that. That's a real big one, I think. Okay, so I'm obviously way behind in that chat, so let's go to more recent ones here. Yeah, and check out Yaman. Okay, I'll look at Yaman. Or you just kind of told me what it was, right? Yeah, I'm going to skip that one. He's an idiot. I feel bad for him. I don't want to talk about him too much. It's depressing. Clean Spark calls getting wrecked. Looking up here. They were getting wrecked. They're looking up here, or they're still getting wrecked. I see mine are down 2.5% on the day, so giving a multiple of 10x the underlying right now to the downside. But I'm still up 48% in them, so I'm not feeling too wrecked here. But yeah, not doing great. Time is definitely decaying away the value, right? That's how it works. And I'd have to look. I think I'm down about 15% now on MSTU and MSTX. It's showing 19 and 24 in here, but I have other ones that I bought more of at lower prices. I'd have to average them all out, which is kind of a pain in the ass, but I can do it. But yeah, so but I think though that puts me right around like negative 15, maybe 16, maybe 17, but I'm thinking it's closer to 15 percent. So when I get my portfolio allocated, I'll try and do that number too. Let's see here. Let me scroll all the way down and just get it on my big chat window. Jesse, your live streams have become a daily ritual for me. That's awesome. Glad to hear it, man. Mucho says, James, Invest Answers, spoke recently about Pan W, something he owns as well. Is that the Nancy Pelosi one from back in the day? Just stop eating vegetables. I actually don't have that many vegetables. It's probably processed foods that are more my problem, and fried things. Like steaks and things are awesome. I do way better with those. I've tried to eat more. MB, time to add on Soul Strategies. I don't have it. But you maybe could. I don't know. I'd have to look. I think Solana can pop. I think this is good. Again, could we have a wipe out of some kind still in Bitcoin where it drops by a decent amount? Yes. Keep an eye out for it. From a TA point of view, was a bear trap yesterday on Tesla. Oh God, it seemed like it, didn't it? I mean, don't you think that Tesla just bear trapped some motherfuckers? I mean, can you imagine like adding to a short up here and then having it go all the way to 376 and then now we're back up to 403? Like, that's got to be a little painful. What is that percentage-wise from the bottom? Almost, yeah, so we were up 7% today. That's a gut-wrenching, painful thing. You go from being like, my options are doing great, to fuck. So that's a pretty painful thing, I think. I don't think the shorts are super happy about that. Jesse, what do you think of CleanSpark calls for July 35 strike? They have dropped quite a lot in the last few days. Worth buying more. Maybe. It's up to you, man. I don't know what your allocation is. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't know, like, my disbursements of all these things could be way different than yours. I need to update mine and get it out there so that people are aware where it is. But yeah, it can differ for everybody. I think it's a value. You should have some personal weighting of whether you think it is too, based on your conviction on what you think it can do. But diversification is also good. So if you're not diversified, I don't know, that could play a part in it too. Evan Underwood, also curious on the CleanSpark calls. Yeah, again, it all depends on your allocation. If you are 100% in the CleanSpark calls and you got like 5% cash, maybe you should be buying something else. So it's just very dependent upon you. Let's see what else we got here. Just out seed oils. Watch a few videos. I will never want them in your body again. Yeah. Yeah, I get that. Olive oil is way better. There's other oils that are better. Seed oils are bad. I agree. Christopher Capuno. Sorry, CleanSpark options going down a bit. I'm loading up here. Cool. Aerospace Geek. Sorry if you answer. My video is acting up. Can you please comment if you believe if there could be a flush out on Bitcoin and MicroStrategy before the end of the year? Yes, there could be. If we're going to drop, we're probably going to do it soon. And we could go into the 80s maybe. But it doesn't have to happen, and I think the probability is it won't. So, but I'm ready either way. I got my game plan, and I have talked about it, so you can see it earlier in the video. Probably in a few different ways. I've talked to it. McGems, CleanSpark, or Archie calls, if you had to choose, I would have both, and I do. Ernest Shackleton, apologies if this is a double post. I think it may have disappeared. Any thoughts on Tom Lee's Granny ETF? Last I saw, it was doing well, and I love Tom Lee. But you might want to look at it and compare it to like the S&P or other things and see for yourself. But I think it's doing well. Luke Bailson, where are you buying more? Oh, I focus on the underlying assets. So if Bitcoin dropped hard, then there's a chance that we might fill a gap on MSTR. And if we did that, and that's what I would focus on. So I'd look at MSTR to do it. If MSTR did it, and Bitcoin looked like it's bouncing at all, it would be like this, right? So this would be a crazy drop. This is not a small drop, and I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying it could. If there is a reason to sell Bitcoin in the not too distant future, it would be super handy to fill that gap. I'm not saying this has to happen, and if it happens, I will be applying more capital. It is a 23% drop, which means you could see a halving of the value of your MSTX and MSTU if they track. So you got to realize this could be a huge flush out for those two things if this happens. I'm just giving you the numbers. I'm still holding all mine. I've got over $1 million. What is it? $1.5 million in MSTU and MSTX. So I would lose theoretically $750,000 if we go down to here. And I'm prepared to put $1 million into these if we do that. So that's the conviction I'm looking at. But I don't think it's going to do it. But it could. Are you thinking of selling MicroStrategy between Christmas and New Year's? If it went up a lot, I would sell out of. I would maintain MicroStrategy, the stock, because I own some of that too. I think I have like 300,000 of that now. Yeah, something close to that, at least 250. And I would keep the stock and I would sell out of the multipliers as I made a bunch of money off of them. Bought more December 2025 MicroStrategy calls. Cool. I hope it works out, man. So, guys, I think I'm done. We're chopping. We'll see if the markets decide to go up from here. Let's get one more final bead on just kind of looking at what the stock heat map is doing for today. It looks like Google is up a ridiculous amount. Tesla's doing all right. Nvidia's up a little bit. Some of the other Magnificent Seven are trying to pop today. And small caps aren't doing really well, not getting a lot of love. Like I said, I think the big move is coming after the 18th. That is still 8 days from now. So if we break down in the next 8 days, I think these are going to be some of the best buying opportunities for the next year or two. So maybe 3. So across a decent amount of the market, definitely the Bitcoin and crypto markets. So I would take advantage of it personally. That's what that's what I plan to do. So if I'm selling more Tesla, it's to do that. Anyway, love you guys. Talk to you later. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early at 7 o'clock. Peace out, guys.